Only and his guests are not responsible for any losses you may accrue for having weekends. Where the haters at? Y'all bitches still ain't showed up. And now, right, we got Hex. Flawless uptime. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart.
This is Whales Only. Glad you guys can make it out. I'm making some claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back them up. Boom. End of story. There is no other crypto out there, so don't get it twisted. If you don't understand where you're parking your money, you're gonna pay the consequences for that, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. Boom. We're obliterating everybody, literally. There is nobody else that comes close to what Hex has done. Oh, it's about to get funky. Funkier than you could have ever imagined. You know, Richard Hart is a boss. Hex is literally the best thing on the planet. It's simple mathematics. Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. Yep. That's it. Yep. That's the secret. The guy well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. Shit, motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. I mean, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all deep. Everybody. My God. Hex agents, bro. Everybody. Australians, man. Everybody gets me. Yo, when is it told you? Dollar cost told you. Everybody done told you. It's crazy. Yo, what's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday to all. Just felt it was about time, drop a little dime on what's going on. Let me say what's up to the chat. Benny, shout out to you, brother, for being the first on deck. JL, thank you for coming through. Valiant, I don't know how you do it, man, but your consistency is pretty ridiculous. But appreciate you, bro. Nate Stakes, what's going on, man? Barnare, probably should have said that in Spanish, but yeah. Yes, because physical wounds heal. Mental ones are much more difficult to heal, which is why I even have a stream on that. That was with Sarah Larson. Probably did that one probably about 5 streams ago. Let me actually look that one up. That's probably one of the better streams I've done so far because it covers a topic that's very, very important. And that's achieving total decision control, right? Because our life is literally a product sum of all the decisions we make or don't, right? And I put that link in the chat to that stream if you missed it. But the importance is, give me a second, guys. The importance is that if you can't heal these mental wounds, right, you're always going to be at a disadvantage because you're not going to be able to think clearly, see clearly, nothing clearly, right? You're going to be shooting from the hip at all times, and that's not what you want, right? You want to be locked, cocked, and ready to rock, typically. So, what up, Reggie Bone? Appreciate you, brother. Side effects, what's up, man? Yeah, I hope you guys have been reading that book. Now you guys can kind of get a better understanding all the things that I try to say but can't say, right? Because it's not believable. It's not believable. None of the things I can tell you are believable, and this is why you got to really do your homework yourself sometimes. So shout out to you, Freedom 35, and whoever else got that book and started reading. I know a lot of you have, and I appreciate you guys taking the recommendation seriously enough to spend the $5.50 plus shipping. You know, it's not easy to pick up a book and try to learn something else. You know, appreciate you, Lozek. Jose Cuervo, right? Like Sith Master, PDC. Thank you guys for coming through. All right, we already got Matt has in the chat. Thank you guys. Just, you know, shout out to all of you guys for thank you for the super challenge. Yeah, right. Inflation is crazy. What's going on, A-Bit? You know, it's this what we're trying to do is not easy. You know, what up, Graviton? What we're trying to do is not easy. Um and it takes a lot, right? It takes a lot to even get to the point where you can understand that crypto is the place to be. Because there's still a lot of people that don't get that. You know, they're coming to the door with this short-term vision, not understanding that this is forever, right? I mean, nobody thought the internet was going to be here when they invented it in the 50s, and here we are 70 years later, damn near 60 years later for sure. So if everything is literally going in that direction, feedback. All right, let me check the mic. How about now? Let me know if there's any feedback or anything like that. So yeah, we're gonna get to Hedron and Icosa and Maxi and all these things that we got going on because these guys, you know, we're very fortunate, right? And this is kind of what this stream is about, to just talk about all the good things we got going on in the midst of this bear market, while everybody else is just, damn, really? It must be you, bro, because nobody else seems to be having that issue. So check your connection. But yeah, so everybody else is, you know, everybody's out here hurting, not talking about their crypto, acting like the market isn't down. Well, actually, I don't even know what the crypto market is doing today because I don't even. Okay, yeah. So just as expected, we've reversed, right? We're now hitting the leg of the market where you're gonna see people, you know, realize that they fucked up. Best way to put it. No worries, Alan. Appreciate you, brother. Let's see here, crypto. Yeah. Actually, I'll let you guys see this. Why not? Boom. All right. Let me throw myself in the box. I think it just looks better. Yeah. Actually, hold on. I always forget. Boom. There we go. All right. So what we're looking at now is Bitcoin. All right. You're not looking at my fancy lines right now. You're just looking at some Fibonacci indicator. And what this indicator does is just takes the previous week's price action or whatever setting, you know, you want to change it to. I do weekly, monthly, whatever. I use this one as my long term, and we're looking at a daily Bitcoin chart. You know, the market is looking like it's supposed to. All right. As I told you guys last time I talked about Bitcoin or whatever, the gap is 26K, right? That's where the cutoff is really, 26 and a half. And the reason for that is because the market spiked down to that level, right? So odds are that we've already peaked at 25 and a half or whatever this number is, 25 and a quarter. And we're probably just going to continue to roll over because this is a bear market after all. And I highly doubt that we're only going to see a 75% retracement over 220 days when they suckered you in for a whole, let's see here, at least a whole 200, right? And this is just between the peaks. This isn't before and after, right? So that's to say, when you snap a rubber band one way, you got to expect the equivalent snap back, right? That's even one of the basic laws of physics, right? For every action, there's a reaction. So yeah, this ain't it, right? We still got lower to go. There's still gonna be more pain felt in the market. Will that affect Hex? Probably. People will probably sell because they see Bitcoin going down. But you know what that means? More opportunity for you to pick up some of the goods. And that's ultimately what should matter to you because this is a long-term game, right? We got to remember that everything in this space right now, Bitcoin was the first iteration of what this space could be. And they really failed there. Hold on, guys. Anyway, and they really failed there, right? So this is why you got all these other coins that are attractive. If Bitcoin was really the ticket, you wouldn't have to care about any of these other coins. You wouldn't have to consider it or anything like that at all, right? So this is important because it's about what they don't tell you, what they don't say. You got to really look at things inversely, right? If somebody's telling you, yo, this is the best thing since sliced bread, well, what are they not telling you? Why is it? Why is it that it is the best thing since sliced bread? What are they leaving out? These are the kinds of things you gotta think about. Because again, the grass is always greener until you get on the other side. Then it's not, right? Um, so if you're looking, I mean, this ain't even the long-term hex chart, but let me pull that up. Then I'll get back to my little spiel and I'll answer some of your guys' questions and stuff. All right, so I talked about this long ago. This red line, right? Told you guys this was structural support. Told you why. And if you missed it, I guess let me go over it again. Long story short, when you're looking at this technical analysis stuff, you got to understand that it's not about what you see. It's about what the market does. All right. Question is, do you see what the market does? And the tricky part about it is that there's a million ways for you to see what the market does because you have your own way of looking at things, right? And your own way is your own way. And no, this isn't the full chart either, but it gives us much more data than the V3 chart. And this is the same thing you would have seen on the V1 anyway, because I'm using that same point of reference, which is this point here, which is the November 1st peak in the price of Hex, because then we proceeded to sell off for the next 3 weeks into big payday, and then it's just been straight up. Then it was just straight up ever since that point in time, up until the September top, right? So that was clearly place of importance in the structure of the market. And you saw it here, 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 right until the market finally broke through. But it took a lot, because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles. So that's 6 weeks, a month and a half, in essence, where nothing happened because price was just going sideways. All right. So let's take a look at the attack on this area. Right. It wasn't really until this point in time, this bar, that the market was finally comfortable being above that. Right. And these are things you got to look at, because this is important to understand. This is how we understand and can and look at the market and try to like guess what it's going to do or what it might do based on previous price action. Because what you have to realize is that the market, right, just like we saw a minute ago, you got this pooled liquidity here, right? We're talking HEX versus USDC on this chart, but it could be versus anything else, right? And if you're looking at liquidity, right, aggregate number seems to be 12 million. Could be a little bit less, a little bit more, we don't know. But we can see that the pooled USDC is less than half, right? So that means that right now, people are preferring USDC versus HEX. Because if that was not the case, then this would be greater than 6 million, meaning it would be greater than 50% of the liquidity pool, because this is supposed to be inventory, right? Liquidity pool and whatever's in there is inventory for the market to access if they want to buy, sell, etc. So these are things that, what's the point of understanding this? This is like a scale, right? When the scale is off balance, the market's going to let you know. And it's going to let you know in the way that the price is tipped, because that's the weight, right? It's the weight. The market is letting you know the weight on that scale. So if you're looking at this point in time and you're seeing that price is trading up, chopping through it, I mean, look at this, right? Like, you can see how the market just battled this level for 6 full weeks, right? Just trying to get up it. And then finally, when it did, it confirmed it with this candle. Because what happens is like, if you look back here, you had the market clear it, right? But you didn't have the market come retest it and then close higher. You had the market close higher a few days, but it never retested. Retesting is always key. That's how the market lets you know that that area has been cleared, right? And I've kind of talked about this before and how bottoms and tops happen and stuff like that. But if you're not looking at charts every day, you're not going to remember. And when you see it, it's going to be like Chinese. It's not going to matter much. I mean, look at it right here. In fact, right? If this was 2020 end, beginning, bottom made here, right? And in a certain respect. And this was the range that codified the bottom. This is the range that codified the bottom, right? But what do we see? Well, this should be resistance. And if we really did clear this area on this up move, then it should be support. And that should be where you should buy, right? Theoretically speaking, right? You're going to do whatever you want. But risk-free, that's the move. And that's how it worked out, as you guys can see. And it's the same thing again over here. Not a coincidence. This is how bottoms and tops are made, right? Unless it's a V, right? And if it's a V, typically there was a lot of lag prior to, which is what you're seeing here, right? A lot of walking the dog prior to that thing just bottoming out and taking off, right? And it's kind of what you see here too. You see a lot of sideways and down, and then all of a sudden, whoop, just gone. right? So these are the kinds of the things you have to think about when you're looking at the gyration in markets, because a lot of people were waiting for this 1 cent area, and I don't know why. I don't know why, but here we are, 6 cents up. Now, that's not to say that we can't still see 1 cent, right? But what's the probability of that being seen? That's the question you got to answer, because that's always how you get these answers to these questions that seem to be obvious after the fact. But you can't answer them after the fact, because after the fact, you're already late. You have to answer them prior to. And this is why you got to learn to think in terms of probabilities, because it's easy to say, yeah, Hex is going to 1 cent. I'm not buying at 3. I'm not buying at 2. I'm not buying at 6. I'm not buying at 5, right? It's easy to say that. And then the next thing you know is at 20 cents, right? That at one point in time, a lot of us thought 12 cents was the bottom. 10 cents was the bottom. And it didn't. It kept going. What's to say we're not going to see the same thing here? Nothing. But the probability of it actually going below 3 cents with the liquidity pool and how it's stacked up and all these things, right? This is how you got to look at the market. What has the market been telling you when you're staring at Dex Screener or wherever you're looking at the liquidity pool? What's the persistence? What's the liquidity pool telling you? Do people prefer USDC over Hex, or do they prefer Hex over USDC, or whatever that pool is that you're looking at? Right? This is how you ultimately tell in crypto what's actually going on. Not easy to see, but it's there if you want to find it. And these are the kinds of things that, it's like looking under the hood of a car. You get to see what's really going on. That's ultimately every person's goal, right? When trying to ascertain what's going on in the market, trying to see what's going on under the hood. And, we got a lot of good things going on because we create software over here. And shout out to those folks that do, right? Shout out to Alex and his team. Shout out to Dibcatcher and his team, because they're building cryptocurrency type products. And that's what the market needs and desires, right? And there's always going to be different colors, different tastes, right? And while Hedron and Maxi are not the same thing, in a lot of ways, they give opportunities to new entrants, right? That feel that maybe Hex is, far gone for them, even though it's not. But, right, there are different things that maybe help them understand the market a little different. It's a good entry point into DeFi, right? Now, Hedron's a little more advanced, a little more complex, but it's still a good start because you can get these coins cheap and they serve a purpose, right? And these are the things that you really need to think about, when you're investing your money, because it's not about speculating, right? You don't need me to tell you how to gamble. That's gambling. That's what speculating is, right? If you want some type of, cheat sheet for that, there isn't one. Because you got to think about how you think, and only you know what you know. So only you can see what you see. And that's how speculation works. For example, I'm very good at spotting these trades that, most people wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. And the reason I'm good at spotting them is because of the way I look at information. Simply put, don't need to brag on myself. That's just how it is because of how I look at things. But I've taken the time to study that about myself, because that's how it works in this game of money, right? Because you know, I think the biggest misconception that we have about life is that we have to compete against others. That's false. You can't compete against somebody you don't know, right? You can only beat an enemy when you actually know the enemy. Otherwise, you just fighting blind. And I mean, there's even a line about that in Sun Tzu Art of War book, right? I mean, so this is basic. This isn't anything new. So when you're entering any arena of any market, getting the very bare minimum down is critical, because this is why people end up in rug pulls, scams, and stuff like that, because they don't know what they're doing, right? And this is why it's very important for people to understand that crypto is software first and foremost. And we got the best software. That's why we're kicking ass and taking names and looking at everybody like they're crazy. So all right, let's get to some questions in the chat. Let me scroll up here and see if you guys got anything, and then I'll scroll down. Haha, one whales, one coin. Funny. I don't know. All good, man. All good. Um, all good. Yeah. Um, people forget that we got 350 billion coins that are just gone, never to be seen again, because it's not really displayed in the data like that we see in GraphX or Apex dot win/charts. But yeah, on top of that, you got the Hex Investment Trust, you got Maxi, you got Hedron and Icosa. So you got all these different venues, right, for Hex to disappear. All these, and on top of all the other contracts that them guys at the Maxi team are doing, right, the shorter term ones. So these are all things that ultimately support the price of Hex long term, make Hex scarce over the long term, add positive price support, and Hex is already built with all of that in mind. So imagine we already own something that's on turbo. It's looking good. Oh, appreciate you, brother. Yeah, y'all hit that like button. Let's see. Yeah, man. Now I'll tell you guys a little bit of what I like about Hedron and Icosa is or Hedron and Icosa. Kaza and Watsa. Well, you can stake Icosa via Icosa and Watsa staking, right? And with the Icosa staking, you get back Icosa and Hedron, and with the Watsa, I think you only get back Icosa, and then with the Hedron, you get back Icosa. And I think Watsa has the highest yield, but that's the longest. I think you can't end that one and get back in or something like that. I don't know all the particulars yet because I really haven't done the homework on all of that. But on the Watsa front, because there's a lot, and I don't really like to get into all of that. My mind just doesn't work well with that shit. So once the Icosa staking is straightforward. Icosa is basically an algorithmic stable coin. For those that don't get it, and it's predicated on the Hedron system. Um, Once I have particular information to share from my perspective on that front, I will. But for now, I don't really know the particulars and the details like that to be explaining it to you guys. So, give me some time to study it and stuff. It took me 60 days to really even be able to talk about Hex. So, patience is required. But what we do know is that we're getting paid every day, right? And that's what DeFi is about. Democratizing, meritocratizing your finance, right? It's all about what you put in, which is how you get out of life what you deserve, right? This is very important. Let's see. Yeah, there's been a lot of borrows ever since all this stuff came out too. So Hedron system looks to be in full effect right now. So shout out to them again. Yeah. Just be patient, man. We might get a nice little bounce back down. You know, if we're lucky, maybe we'll get a breach of 5.5 cent. Um, maybe 5 if we're lucky. If we're super lucky, we'll go back below 4.5. But we'll see. We shall see. Yes, sir. That it. For every action, there is a equal and opposite reaction, and just like you see hex price going down 95%, you know, you got to understand. When I think about price and the motion of it and all this stuff, like, how am I able to describe these things so easily, right? Like, I explain things in ways that are easy for people to understand, or I understand things that are difficult for people to understand, right? However you want to slice the dice, doesn't matter. But the thing about it is I think about things like this, you know, when price is moving, you know, this comment is going through my mind because we create this motion and we have limits as humans, right? So if we have limits as humans, whether it be emotional, physical, mental, etc., that means that we're gonna see that on the chart, right? And this is what we see. Now, when I look at price and I try to forecast what I think is gonna do, I try to do it in conjunction with the context, right, of what I see on this chart. For example, according to what I have here, if this is gonna stay bullish, we're not gonna go below this line, right? Because this was a downtrend that was showing you that hex was bearish. But once we broke below that, we got stuck right here, or price got stuck right here, right? Essentially running into a wall on type of price structure here, which was resistance. Hold on, guys. All right, I think that's low enough. Where the hell was I? All right, it was resistance, right? And then became support here, which is difficult to see, but let me show it to you guys because this is what I was trying to show you guys earlier. Um, get rid of that. So if you look at, you had price bust through, right? Come back. Is this the right one? Yeah, that is the right one. Damn, that thing was so. Oh, it retested it on a weekly basis. That's what it did. You don't see it on the daily here. Hold on. But that's why we got such a big move, also. Um, yeah, yeah. So hold on. Right after we got that open, from this close above this price, right? The market basically had to retrace and get bid at some point. And that's what you see in this candle. And that's what I'm trying to point out. That didn't happen before, right? It went right through, right? And that's the difference between this candle and that candle because they both are the same, but they didn't finish the same. And that's how you knew this was a breakout point, right? That's pro level right there because you got to really understand what is the psychology of the market, right? This really works here because this is what people are doing. This isn't, even if it's programmed, people are programming it, right? So this is how we can ascertain these types of ideas and see them become a reality. It's not anything like out of anything crazy. Like this is how it works. Um, yeah, no, Hex. You must have been talking about the V3 one, yeah, and that's why I went off of that one. I'm pretty behind in the chat, so give me a second. Fed bypasses next month. Nah, I don't. I think they're gonna try to raise. They haven't been doing a lot of talking lately in that regard. Yields are kind of still lower than they were before they raised rates. So, the market is poised to continue to go lower in terms of rates, even though now you got to understand that the pressure on the market in terms of the currency bears no, it doesn't necessarily have to bear any weight on the interest rate. And this is what's interesting when you're a reserve currency. A lot of people are going to have a hard time wrapping their head around that. But that reserve currency status really changes the dynamic of what could or could not happen. Right now, let's go take a look. Here we go. Let's just take a look at some macro components here of the market. All right, so we got Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is looking good. This is just a daily chart, but it looks like it's looking good, but in reality, it's just building this wedge pattern that it's just going to fall out of. This is just common, basic technical analysis, nothing crazy. Just another bear flag, right? It's just another bear flag. People will get carried away just because of the run up in the bear flag, right? Just because it was from 19, 18,000, whatever, back to 25. They think it's a reversal, but they forget we was all the way at 70K. We just went from 20 to 25. Who cares? Like that's negligible in the grand scheme of things, right? So this is how you gotta look at markets, because it's all about proportionality. That's what leads to the probabilities. So Bitcoin looking basically set up to continue moving lower, and everything in this landscape follows Bitcoin outside of Hex. Now if we go, hold on, is a dollar here? Yeah, sure is. So as you guys can see, the dollar it looks like it might be setting up, because I know people kept asking me for the longest time, is the dollar topped out? Is the dollar topped out? And I've been saying no, because I don't think it is. But looks like if it holds here, the RSI, if RSI doesn't break above this, then could be the end of the dollar. Let's see. Wow, yeah. Even the oh well, no, it's not fully a sale setup yet. But it could get there. But as of now, it's just looking like sideways action, like right here. See, because the green is still below it. So not necessarily bear yet, but it's lining up. If this doesn't accomplish this goal of getting over that hurdle. Now, as we know, that when a dollar starts ripping, it puts the hurting on everything. And the market is kind of poised to do that right now. So the odds of this actually reversing are very slim, but it's something you got to be on the lookout for, right? Because that's just how the cookie crumbles. Now let's look at rates, because as we can see, the dollar still looks poised to continue higher, right? It really, really does. And I mean, when you look at it on a 3-day basis, you just completely obliterated this bearish candle. So within the next hour, we should close this 3-day bar and continue the move upward. But we'll see, right? Because it doesn't always clean up that way. Markets do what they want. So we shall see. Now let's look at rates. And let's look at them on a 3-day basis. Oh, well, look at that. While the dollar looks like it's ready to continue moving higher, interest rates are getting ready to go lower. 30-year, bear setup. 20-year, same. 10-year, same. 5-year, same. 2-year, the only one so far that doesn't look ready to just roll over, but it could be that it does just based on the previous candle, but we got to wait, or previous 3 candles, but we got to wait for this one to close. Because what's happening is that you could be seeing a pennant within a pennant, right? Like a bull flag within a bull flag that could lead to a reversal, because it's not breaching that previous high, right? So the odds of continuation, right? The odds of price continuing higher than here are very slim, because when price is already right there, I mean, the wind should blow it above this point, and it's just not happening. It's really sticking to that 100% level, right, of that previous week's price action on a fib basis. So this is really indicative of the strength of the so-called price bulls, right, of U.S. Treasuries. Because if this does roll over, right, if all these yields do roll over, even the 1 year looks like it's ready to roll over compared to the 2 year, right? Fed funds it just keeps going up, right? But as I told you guys before, when you're looking at the spread, right, the Fed funds versus the 2 year, or the 2 year versus the Fed funds, what you see is that now we've reached a point, and this is critical, so please listen up. Now we've reached a point where the spread, which was always greater than the actual Fed funds rate, is now finally lower than it. Okay, now I'm gonna switch back. Fed funds was 0 up until 2020, or I'm sorry, up until 2022, right, when they started finally raising rates. Before that, 2020, it got rates cut down from 2019 to 2020. Prior to that, 2016 through 2019 was a rate hike cycle, right? Now, let me just add a damn. Hold on, let me do this the other way. Give me a second, guys. Oh, I'm dumb. Hold on. All right, there we go. Okay, so right now the candlesticks. You know, let me make that shit a line too. Why not? There we go. The blue line is the Fed fund spread. It's the 2 year minus Fed funds, and what that represents is the difference in a 2 year interest rate versus an overnight interest rate. Now, the reason we look forward 2 years is to ascertain what the market is thinking for the next 8 quarters in terms of potential hikes or not, right? And we discount the Fed funds rate, which is the overnight cash market, against that rate, right? That's what we're essentially doing when we're creating this spread, right? And this spread is supposed to tell us the temperature versus the actual market, right? Now, what we're seeing is that over here, you know what? Let me put these motherfuckers on the same side after all. Give me a second. Because it would actually look better for the point I'm trying to get at. Pin to new right scale. Nope. Merge all scales to one on the right. Bam. Here we go. That's what I was trying to do. All right. So the orange line is the overnight cash market. That's the one that the Federal Reserve pretty much dictates. The blue one is the temperature, right? This is how I know when the market is out of whack in terms of interest rates or not, right? And all you need to look at is when this line is above or below this line. That's it. That's all you're looking at. And during this period of time, right, I was telling you guys the Fed has a cut, or I'm sorry, increase, or that they were going to, whatever the hell I was saying, right? And they ultimately were doing that. And the reason they had to do it was because this line was telling me they had to. Simple. But now, if we're looking, right, the line pretty much meets their meeting 168, 159. You know, you round up a couple basis points. That's where we're at. So now we're pretty much at fair market value. And the Fed is still trying to talk about raising rates. And this is why I say the odds of that happening, you know, while not impossible, are very slim to none, because that would mean that they want to impose pain on the market. And what that then would cause is this type of reaction, right? Because this is what happened from 2018 to 2019, which is what ultimately forced them to recut rates once again. Okay, this is how we got to this point, right? And this is why I'm going through all of these macro pieces, because they only have but so many moves left when the rates are essentially the same, right? The blue one is the thermometer. The orange is where things actually are, right? So we're basically neutral right now, if you want to put it into some type of category, right? We're basically neutral. So as of right now, the market's going to pretty much determine what happens next. And to be honest with you, if they're going to keep raising rates, then it's hard to say what could happen moving forward. But what could happen is that crypto does turn around. No, it doesn't make sense. Because if they keep raising rates, that's going to make the cost of risk capital expensive. So that means this orange line keeps going up, right? Now, if this orange line keeps going up, that means they got to sell things that they can't really keep on the books, because that is what determines, you know, how much you're paying for a loan and all that good stuff. And this applies to all entities that are subservient to the system. So it impacts us all the same, even if we think it doesn't. It does. This is why everybody's paying out the woo-woo for gas, right? Like, even though prices is down, well, it was just at $5 ridiculous dollars, depending on where you live. You know, it was just at 10. So this is all a function of that. In fact, all of it a function of that. Let me delete this. All of this is a function of that, right? So you saw the market telling the Fed they had to raise rates beginning back in August. They said, no, we're not doing nothing until January, or not even March. From March, they was at 0, and they finally went a whole 25 basis points, right? Finally. And the market had already made the world pay by that point in time. So if they're going to keep raising rates like they did back in 2019, 2018, well, let's add something to the picture. Why not? Regular. Let's put this to the left because this is a completely different thing. And let's make this log. Yes. So If we're here, right, I'm guesstimating that we are here in our cycle. Let me get a rectangle here going for you guys. Nah, that's not what I'm trying to get. Sorry, guys. Here we go. I'm basically guesstimating that in terms of macro and cyclical part of where we're at in the game right now, we're somewhere around here. This is what I'm saying. Okay. We're somewhere in here. And what that means is if they're going to keep raising rates, we can continue to see Bitcoin slide sideways and lower. It's a gimme. Because that's their objective, is to continue inflicting financial pain on the market while they continue to do their business, because their QE is still existing, right? Like they haven't stopped buying bonds and stuff like that. So I don't really see Bitcoin breaking 26, and all of this stuff is why. So sorry for the long drawn out explanation, but that's exactly why. Not gonna happen. So what we will be breaking is 20, not 26. And I just outlined all the why. Let's see here. Yes. If you're not aware, China's been having a ton of bank runs and stuff. And the reason you don't really hear anything about it over here is because their economy is pretty much isolated from everybody else's. And that's kind of an up and down. But what we don't know, and this is the down. What we don't know is if there are any Western banks that have exposure, right? And because if they have exposure, then they have to mark their book to the value of those assets. Um, and if anybody else has asset exposure to that bank, right, they have to do the same. They have to reevaluate their book, their positions against that bank and their valuation, just like we just saw with all the big connects just collapsed recently. It's the same thing everywhere. I wasn't lying about that. So yeah. Shout out to the devs. We got some good ones here. What's going on, Jerry? Hope you're doing well, brother. Shout out to you, Jim Rat. Hope you're doing well, bro. All right, let's see. We got a question here. No, I've never made a video titled that. My first video is all my videos are up on my site. I've on YouTube. I've never had to delete any or nothing like that. Let's see. Yeah, well, this is what I'm trying to get people to understand, right? I've told this story before. Like when I first got back into crypto, I didn't understand all the hoopla over stables until I learned that people use them overseas to make payments, right? And that's clearly a stable currency for that part of the world that requires that. But us over here, right? We already deal in dollars, so it's different for us. And this whole cryptocurrency thing was created because these so-called stable coins, aka digital fiat dollars, are the fucking problem. So when I came back and I just saw everything was revolving around this, I kind of knew what was going on, right? But it was just a matter of investigating and looking at the market again and seeing what was what. But we now see what the goal is, right? And I got some other cool stuff to show you guys here related to what these people are doing. But be 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 vigilant out there, because it's all about getting you to play yourself. And, you know, if you read that straw man book, you'll realize that you have been playing yourself because you just didn't know. It's not even your own fault. But if you're hearing me now and you don't read that book, then it is your own fault and you are playing yourself. And that's how the cookie crumbles. Because the only way to take control back is by learning how to. And this is really step one, right? Because I've been talking about this stuff for a long time, but now we're getting to a point where I got to just shove it in your face. It's not much of a choice because you either do or you die at this point. You know, you continue to be a slave or you decide to, you know, unshackle yourself from the system. I mean, that's where we're at. And here's a cool thing. You learn from this book that you can operate in both. If you learn how to read and deduce, it's obvious that you can operate within both worlds. So you don't have to isolate yourself. You can literally pick and choose. How about that? I mean, there's a way we have a constant checkmate and we don't use it. That's basically what that straw man book teaches you. So please get it. Let's see. Yo, what up, Pexy? Hope you doing well, brother. Yeah, nah. No alpha here. Just giving you guys the basics. Yep. Once you cash out, you destroy the printer on Watson. So you guys be mindful of that. Yep. Hey, bro, didn't even know you was in the chat. Let me know if you want me to send you a link so you can break the shit down for the people. You know what? I'm gonna just drop it in the chat. So you go ahead. If you're still in the chat, I don't know if you are, bro, because I'm really way behind. But you know, again, we're here in DeFi world, right? Where we get paid every day, no matter what. And the first iteration of that was Hex, right? Now Alex has figured out a way to create this ecosystem that underlies Hex that really has just become, I mean, how could I best categorize it? It's like the car had a fuel injected carburetor and now it has and it's like it had a carburetor and now it has fuel injected valve. You know, head. Like shit completely changed. Right? Now you're hitting 0 to 60 in no time versus waiting for the torque to hit the distributor and all of that. Right? What up, bro? You on mute, man. I'm trying to unmute you, but I can't. About to ban you, bro. Unmute yourself. You good? All right. All right. All right. All right. So now we got Icosa, right? Now we got all these different layers that we got to sit here and learn. And you better be putting in the work because everybody got to learn, just like we had to learn with Hex. You know what I'm saying? This is important. Yeah, shout out to Crypto Graphics because he has been doing a lot of how-tos, a lot of instructional videos on all the pool options that you have in the Hedron system. So you guys go on ahead, be sure to subscribe to his channel and check them videos out because he puts in some work. You know, he's what you wish I would be. So you guys definitely subscribe to his channel and check it out because that guy puts in major work that I can't put in.
Did you just say he's putting in the work that they wish you would be?
Yeah. You know how many times people try to get me do instructional videos, bro? I'm like, I ain't got time for that. Figure that shit out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry. I don't have the patience or the I can't do that. That's not in my DNA.
That's not in your job description.
Yeah, it's just not in my I can't. So I just don't, So shout out to Crypto Graphics, shout out to Hodl Dog and all the guys that make those how-to videos because they're major. But I can't. I can't. But people need them shits because they can't either. You know what I'm saying? So
That's right
it's
in like graphics. That's right in his wheelhouse, and I got to commend him. He did an
yeah.
excellent job. I caught some of that.
Yeah, we got some good streamers, man. We got some good streamers that do a lot of good stuff. So
Good streamers. Where?
nowhere. Definitely not any on this stream, that's for sure. Not you and not me.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen.
Not you and not me.
No, you're
Shit.
a Hall of Fame. You're fronting. Come on.
Nah, man. Just another guy, bro. So yeah,
Who,
look.
we got Hexy. Is he coming in?
I don't know. I threw the link in the chat for whoever wants to jump in. I don't know who wants to jump in or not. So yeah, there's only 14 days, right? And this started a couple days ago, Sunday. It's already Tuesday. It's Tuesday. We're about to turn the clock again, so we only got 12 days, right? Already. So get your study up.
Yeah, no doubt. I gotta do the crash course like I used to do back in college, man. The night before.
Yeah. They're all tied together, brother. So one isn't gonna exist without the other. Hedron is
Yes, sir.
dependent on Hex, and Hex ain't going nowhere. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, it's like there's the two layers, as you well know, right?
Yeah.
Because there's the simple protocol, which is basically like a monkey hitting buttons, and we can all do that.
Yep.
But then there's the game theory of the proper way to utilize these things. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, you know what it is like when I look at this Hedron system now, I'm like, well, I like it for short term. I think I'm gonna see how it works short term because I really like how Hex was designed and built for the long term. But the cool thing is that Hedron is good for whoever wants to stake that long term too. Because if you miss Hex and you really want to lock in that low value stake, right? This is your opportunity to do it. If you weren't around at that point in time, boom, you're welcome, right? So it's all of these little things that you gotta really think about because what is the goal, right? Ultimately, the goal is to make money over the long term.
Dude, I'm just blown away at how many opportunities are here
Yeah.
for Hexicans and Pulse Chaniacs right now.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
I made a
Hey,
grip. I made a grip on dumping some dog coin
nice.
recently.
Congrats, man. Congrats.
Well, I just didn't see it going back to what, $9. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know. I sold mine before it got to 4, so I've been out.
Oh, okay. So wait a minute. I made a call that was better than yours for the first time in history.
I wasn't trying to call that. I don't give a fuck about that.
Just get that out of my wallet.
Yeah, no, I don't care about that. See, here's a funny thing. When I look at crypto, I think to myself, what are these TA guys doing? They just, unless you're speculating, you're wasting your time. Because what's going on here? What's going on here is that we got eons before we got to think about anything.
Really, though.
Because there's no money here yet. Only 1-2 trillion. We got another guest. What's going on, Enoch? How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing good.
That's what's up, bro.
Man, first time I ever seen you put a link out on here for people in the crowd to join, man. I hadn't been on stream in a while, man.
I think I've done it before, maybe like once.
I want an icon like you got, so I don't have to show my face, man. But
you got to set it up, man. You got to turn off the.
Dude, I don't know how, man. I'm
all right, never mind.
Just now getting into crypto, man. I bought the top.
Don't feel bad, brother. We all do it.
Hey, boy, it's rolling, man. It's been about a year since I've been in, and
nice. Congratulations.
Congratulations,
man. Congratulations. Now, look, something I want to point out to you since you're new.
Yes, sir.
Right, and this is really for everybody, but think about it. Inflation has the world in such a way that the cost of food is ridiculous. You can barely get any food.
Man, I paid $35 for 25 chicken wings last night.
Brother, look.
I'm about to go do it right now, man, and I'm like nervous. I'm literally nervous going in the grocery store.
Let me tell y'all something. I used to spend like $40, $50, just me, right? Just for me. And now I'm spending $80 to $100.
That's crazy.
100% increase in cost of food.
Yeah, man, it's ridiculous. Thank God for Hex.
It's ridiculous, right? Now check this out. This is what's cool. while the cost of food has, 2x on us or whatever you want to call it, has gone up 100%. Hex is down, and you can get 17, 18 for 20 for $1, depending on when you can acquire it, right?
Yes, sir.
Think about that. That's a hell of an inversion. That's like Bizarro World almost, right? Like, because this thing that you can get 17, 18 of for $1, this thing could get you a whole lot of dollars one day,
Yeah, man.
right? And it ain't going to be that far off. Because once you understand how these crypto cycles work, you realize that, okay, I bought the top a year ago.
Yeah.
The market just stopped going down.
Learning.
Maybe it's time to start accumulating because now it's probably going sideways. And you just wait for the market to tell you if that's what it's doing. Because if it is going sideways, it's going to stop at some point and reverse, just like we're seeing now.
Right.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, that's how you let the market talk to you. Sometimes you gotta let the market tell you what's going on.
Gotta feel it, man.
Right. I mean, yes and no, right? Because what happens is if you're looking at a market and you're saying, all right, I think the market's done here, it should roll over. And let's say you think it's gonna roll over to 5.5 cents. And let's say it does that. But then you think it's going to stop there and it doesn't, right? What happens then? Well, what happens then is that you got to figure out, well, what's going to be my pain point at this point in time if you're trying to do something, right?
Right.
If you're not trying to do something and you're just watching the market, it's even better because you're giving yourself the opportunity to test your ability to view the market. And we got somebody else popping in. What's going on, you poor pleb?
What's up, bro?
What's
Thought I'd
going on,
hop
man?
in for a quick half hour or something before
Yo,
I head to bed.
Hexy, we're good.
What's up? What's up?
What's going
PP
on?
all day.
All day.
Yo, that stream with you the other night, Thofstro, that fucking mate, like
I'm
feeling
very
that for
glad
about
you
2 days
enjoyed
after.
yourself.
I did,
You
man.
know what
It was
was
fun.
funny about that, dog, is that the people who only watched the first hour and a half was like, are these guys ever going to talk about crypto? And if the people didn't watch the whole thing, right? Like, they missed that last hour and a half was just pure crypto butter alpha. And once you and I got to know each other, right? And we were speaking, man, we hit a groove, dude. And then it has to be noted that the last 15 minutes of that stream was probably the most alpha Thothschild comedy routine we've seen to date as well. So y'all might want to tune into episode 20 of the Mind Spray, my friends.
Nice.
Had fun. PP all day.
Yo, we've been doing real fucking well on that sack as well, man. I think we're up to nearly 350K or something now.
Yeah, congratulations, man. The angle you took was a proper angle. I think the people that are participating respect that. And I think being clear in your intentions and your angle and your marketing approach, it makes everything visible, right? It doesn't leave any confusion. It doesn't give the community any freaking sour taste and all of that, right? Then of course you're gonna still have people talk shit, but ultimately it's important that you do things the right way, and that's all it's about. It ain't about nothing else.
Cheers, man. It's all about that outreach. Like, why is no one reaching out yet? Like,
right.
I don't get it.
Right.
Like, it takes a pleb like me to come along and slap all these motherfuckers, and this is how it's done.
Well, I mean, ultimately somebody has to do something, and something is just doing what you did, right? And that's all it is.
Just me, you.
That's it, man. It's, we all learn from each other, and this is how everybody lifts everybody.
That's for sure.
You know what I mean? Think about it. How, and I've explained this before, but I haven't said this in a while. Ultimately, everybody just wants to live in peace. Nobody wants to be bothered with nonsense or, anything like that, right? Everybody just wants to chill.
Yes,
Everybody
sir.
wants what they need, and that's it. But how do we get to that point? Well, we get to that point by helping everybody else realize that it's attainable. They don't have to be out here lying, robbing, cheating, and stealing. Because once that's all you know, it's kind of hard to do anything else.
And you know
Hold
what's
on.
funny about that, man? It's kind of like our search for the ultimate position is is the search for a defensible one, because it's only a hyper minority who even want to disturb that peace in another man.
Yep.
So really, what we're trying to do is just get ourselves to a place where we can just keep them the fuck off our backs and out of our business. You know, it's like, my God, dude, I don't seek it, but I sure seem to find it enough.
Right. I mean, you know, it's so easy to get caught up in nonsense, right?
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing.
Who you telling?
It doesn't matter whether you live on a farm or in a city. You know, you can fall in a crack anywhere. It just doesn't it just doesn't matter, right? So this is just how you have to. At least I think, you know, you got to view things. You got to really not force yourself, but try to keep an open mind, right? Because there's gonna be some things you're gonna naturally be averse to. Like I remember when I was like, "F this crypto stuff, man." You know, I wasn't getting it. I just felt like there was too much shade in it. Like nothing was clear, all this gray, nothing was black and white, blah blah blah. You know, and it was because of what was being done, not because of what it is, right? Because here we have actual crypto now, finally, and this is what we were missing, right? But it took all of that to get to this point where we can now say, "Yo, this is it," and this is why you got people that are quote unquote hex maxi. You know what I mean? Like it's like, yo, it works, it does what it's supposed to do, and it pays me. Simply put, I mean, who wants more than that? You can't even get a car that does that nowadays. I mean, you're asking for too much.
Yeah, bro, I've been so unlucky with cars over the years, man. Like, I never bought a good one. I mean, maybe that doesn't help, but you know, like almost every car I've had, except for one, was a right pile of shit, and I ended up spending more money on it after I bought it than actually buying the thing.
That's so common. That's common.
Yeah. Buy it cheap, buy it twice, as they say.
That's right.
The wise man.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Shout out to Kool-Aid. He always be kicking people over here. I don't know why, but he likes to bring people to hear some pain, I guess. But you know, again, it's about figuring out what it is you want, right? And attacking that. You know what I mean? Like we all want to be well off and not be bothered and all, you know, all of this, but it requires some work. It requires asking questions. It requires not being timid. It requires not being shy. It requires doing things you wouldn't normally do.
Right.
Right. And this was difficult for people. You know, when I was learning how to trade and I was coming up, I had to ask questions. It was the only way. And I didn't understand the answer all the time. And I had to stew on it. Because that meant I just wasn't ready to even ask that question. That's what I was thinking. You know? So
sometimes the answer don't come at
that
moment.
At that moment. Yeah.
2 weeks later. And you're like, so I'm looking for an asset, man. Read Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
All of that. You got to read all of them, right?
Where's it at? I'm looking for them, man. And then Hex, I was like, wow, this is it. This is it.
Right. Isn't it something when you find it?
Yeah.
Isn't it something when you find it, because everybody's looking for it?
Wow. I just wish it was easier for a person to grab a hold of it and get the fiat into it.
Oh, I know. That's the biggest issue. But they do that on purpose.
Oh man, and it goes over the head because it went over mine for a while, but
yeah,
man, throw a dog a bone, man. I go get
it. and that's exactly how it should be. Right? Like we all know what we want, but some of us are too timid to attack it. You know, even I was like that for a while, and I realized, Like, I'm not gonna get what I want out of life if I continue to let somebody give it to me. Never gonna happen. You know, sometimes you gotta address your situation head on and not let somebody else do it for you, right? Like them.
All the time. Come on now.
Right.
But if you work towards it, things are always working out for me. And you start going towards it, next thing you know, Hex will fall in your lap, man.
Right.
Like, wow. You run into people like Wales, Thoughts Child. And I can't tell who else is this. Who is that? The other person that's on here.
Hexy bastard.
Oh, okay. I've heard the voice, watched some streams.
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
run into y'all, man. I'm like, man, I done found a whole new group of people, man. I talked to my around the house like I've been hanging out with y'all since I was a kid. And they looking at me like I'm crazy, man. And I'm like, y'all need to find out what Hex is.
You know what it is?
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, like, did I hear you say earlier that you got in around the top?
Yeah, right. I bought about 38 and then it hit 51. And I'm listening to Wales and he's like, man, I don't know if it's ever going to go down. And
yo, I didn't know. It was so crazy.
I don't even know what FOMO is.
Oh my God.
We got another guess.
8 cents, I get down to 12 cents, and I'm like, fear of missing out. That's what you done.
Yeah.
Hex.
Well, I was just gonna say I only got in a few months before you did, bro.
Oh, really?
Just like, yeah, maybe like 4 months before you or something.
Yeah.
So you know, we all is learning.
But my average ain't 38 no more. I bought.
I bet.
Dips and plus they putting Hex in my wallet every day, man.
Oof. Isn't that a good feeling?
Yeah. I made my son a wallet, a little nice shrimp wallet, and you know I got him at 10, and we dropped even further because you know I'm looking for the bottom. Then we get to where we're at now, and I'm like, okay, I know what they're talking about, trying to find the bottom.
Right.
And now my son's wallet came in about 10 cents and 5. I told him to look at it the other day, and you know it's like he's gonna be in the black. He's gonna be in the profit before we get back to 10 cents.
Right.
I don't know more. It's just because it's paying every day, man.
That's it, man.
Every day you get paid.
Every single day.
It's man. If that ain't an asset, I don't know what is.
Exactly. Yo, look, you gotta go watch my early streams. When I started streaming, man, let me tell you, I did. What is a crypto? What's an asset? What is value? All these basic things that you gotta know to get this thing, right? Because if you don't know those basic things, those basic financial topics, right? Those basic financial tickets, those things that let you know this is what's up, right? You're gonna miss it.
They don't teach us that in school.
They don't teach us that.
My 13-year-old daughter sitting in there in the living room. I asked her what an asset and what a liability is. Asset, money in your pockets. Liabilities take money in your pockets.
Take money out.
What you want to spend your money on?
Exactly.
What do you want? She's still at the point now where she still wants to get a job and buy and pay for it from the job. I said, won't you buy an asset and let the asset buy what you want?
That's it.
And you can wheels turning in that 13-year-old's head.
Boom.
I'm gonna teach them, man.
Yeah, but here's what you just did. You just changed her life.
Oh, I know, man. Yeah.
Right? She's 13. I wasn't thinking like that when I was 13. Neither were you. Right? I was 13. I mean, that's exciting, man. I mean, think about the future you just created with that one line.
Because somebody's going to have to be in control of the wallets that I've made.
That's right. Somebody has to.
Somebody, because they still going to be producing when I check out of here.
That's right. They're going to be around. This is going to be around for a long time. This ain't going nowhere.
Can you, man? All I can think about is we get 4, 5, 6 hex a day at the payout. I'm thinking, what if these Bitcoin 20-something thousand right now, and that's Bitcoin, and we're a better product than Bitcoin,
right?
I'm getting $120,000 a day.
You guys listening? This guy's basically new, right? Like you're basically new to crypto. Like you're just interacting with the. Like it took you how long just to buy it?
To how say that again?
How long just to buy it?
To what? It took me to buy it.
Yeah. Just from you hearing about it to buying it.
Hex, man. I started out buying crypto on Robinhood. I was buying stocks, and I did. I'm looking at Robert Kiyosaki, trying to figure out what the asset was. Lucky, I didn't lose my shirt though, man. I made choices. I turned $5,000 into $9,000 on Robinhood.
Not bad.
About 2. And then I'm like, but I'm seeing like this ain't growing fast enough for me. I need something else. It's good.
Yeah, you already know.
But I need something more productive, man. I'm looking for the next thing, and then it's like a process that goes along. And next thing you know, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna go ahead and give credit. It was a guy called Stank Mouth Charlie I ran across on YouTube. He's from a different community, but he bought Hex too, and he was talking about Hex, and I started looking at Hex, found Richard Hart, found y'all. After that, after I found y'all, it probably took me about 2 weeks, and I figured out.
That's good, man. Yeah, and that's out of nowhere. That's from knowing nothing.
Nothing. Right? Zero. Never interacted with a D app. Nothing, man. On the
yeah, they're called DApps. But that just goes to show how new this guy is, right?
Loving it every minute. Man, I ain't gonna dox myself on how much, how far.
Yeah, nah, but look, the point is, this is what I'm trying to highlight. I'm trying to highlight how new you are to the entire space.
Yes, sir.
And how excited you are about what Hex does.
Yes, sir.
Because there is nothing like that out there. And when other people, just like you, just like me, that are looking for something like this, find it, we're gonna go freaking bananas.
Oh man,
and tell everybody about it. Just like we've already. I mean, this is why I even started streaming because I couldn't keep it to myself.
I get frustrated, man, because when
everybody ain't ready, man.
I'm crazy.
Yeah, everybody ain't ready, bro.
I know it.
It's the craziest thing, man.
It's mad that you've managed to cut through like all the bullshit and land straight at like the right place. Though. Like you don't even know how lucky you are, bro. Like, seriously.
I kind of got a little clue, but I sure wish I'd have got back. I sure wish I'd have knew when it started.
Yeah, don't we all, man?
Right? Yeah, me too.
But I'm early, man. I know within 10 years, dude. It's a lot of stuff that I used to worry about.
No longer a concern, right? Isn't that grand?
I wish I was a Rolexicon. One day. One day it's gonna happen. And to be honest, next ball we got to remember, man. Like, I was gonna ask you this. So I think we're kind of coming to the end, almost at the end. We just got to do that like little capitulation of the general bear market. Looks like we're getting kind of close. You pointed out earlier the bear flag on Bitcoin. There's the same one on Ethereum as well. I think one more big horrible leg down, and then that will kind of be the end, and it will start grinding up again. Are you of a similar belief, or?
I think that we're in the midst of this transitionary period where it looks like we're going to be over and done with the bear, but we're not. Because the Fed is going to continue to try to raise rates, and that's going to cause this spread to kind of chop around sideways like it did before. That's why I got this box highlighted here. And if you look at everything that's happening right here in this box, it's literally the same stuff that's happening now here in terms of the Fed and what they're doing and how capital's flowing. So I expect a rollover. Just like you said, question is, how low? Is it going to be 10? Is it going to be 11? Is it going to be 15? We don't really know. Could be lower. It just depends, because if that Mt. Gox stuff comes out and all that, because it's already August, right? And that decision is going to be dependent on the court or the trustee. I can't remember which one, but odds are the trustee. But all of this is what you got to keep keep in mind we got another guest. I'll throw the link in the chat for anybody that wants to join.
So collect dry powder and wait.
Right. Oh yeah, don't click link if you ain't trying to jump on, because I'm gonna throw you on the screen, homie. But
be
yeah,
ready.
so yeah, be ready. But yeah, so this is what I think is gonna happen. We'll see, because if they don't, hike rates, then that's gonna change, right?
Right.
That changes everything. It basically reverses everything I said. So that's the contra.
It's weird looking at that chart there. It's weird looking at Bitcoin, how it's just done that double top there. It looks so out of place compared to the other two pumps, doesn't it?
I've explained this before. You probably didn't catch that stream. So why the double top? Right? When it's never done that before.
Is that because there's more exposure now, and there was a bit of there was kind of like Wall Street money or like big money now
longer
injected
distribution
into
period. That's right.
Yeah. So does that mean a longer bear market then?
Perhaps. Could be the case. We shall see. Because it's not like the cycle isn't still intact. It's still 3 and 1. We just don't know whether it's going to be an actual one. But the bull market was 3 years. Plenty of people that caught it, and I didn't. And I just didn't know because I didn't think in those terms. So we shall see. The
thing is that it's like, I mean, what am I trying to say here? So like the time scale of it is gonna fluctuate a little bit, but because we've got like at least 2 bear markets to go off in the past, and they were both kind of similar, people are expecting that to happen this time. So with it doing the double top thing, like it's kind of likely that something new happens this time, whether that is a long bear market or it just randomly, it does a dip, but then just starts rocketing up again straight after or something.
Anything could happen. It could just go sideways and not do anything, right? Because if you look at this, what happened? We went up, stopped, turned around, dropped. And then when we dropped, we didn't really go sideways for that long, right? We went sideways for maybe, 11 December through, 3 months. It's not really a long time to go sideways. Not after a bear market, right? So we really only went sideways for 3 months versus dropping for a whole year, right? So here we went sideways for, I say, a whole 6 months. A whole 7 months. And we've been dropping since November to now is what, 8 months almost? More. 8 plus 2, 10 months. Right? So, but we pumped, right, from here to here. And that took December 18 to December 21, 3 years, you see? So we'll know for sure what time it is come November 2021, which is all the way out here.
I've been thinking like September, October for a while, but maybe it goes on just like a little bit longer, and then you got that like Shemeter thing that Randy Halasky always talks about.
That's common. That's why market crashes always happen in October, September. Yep. Stock market ones, not crypto, like the old one.
The crypto market is very similar to the like the S&P 500 and stuff these days, though. Am I right? Like, I think I think it's gonna do something weird. It's not gonna be what people think it's gonna do. I think what it will do is just like it will take one like a half leg down here, and people will be like, yeah, it's gonna carry on. It's going to 10K. Maybe it gets to like 15. And then just sideways for ages and then grinds up, or it will go down way fucking further than everyone thinks is even possible.
Yeah, anything's possible because again, we got some serious wild cards at hand here.
Yeah,
we don't know what's gonna happen with all those Bitcoin, right? Because if they really do issue all those Bitcoins to those people at once,
sell.
That's a lot of fiat dollars to be hitting the market.
You could also have like a sailor updates his worldview and capitulates it all into something else. I mean, that's kind of unlikely, but maybe not even a sailor, but like he doesn't even have the biggest fund for Bitcoin, does he? There's like 2 others bigger than him.
Yeah. Got another guess. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Does that answer this? No. You got to read and do it yourself. That's the whole point of the book. So how you doing, man? Welcome aboard.
Appreciate it. Little nervous, but happy I hopped on.
Yeah. Don't be nervous, bro. It's all the same. We're just some regular dudes talking about things we like.
Right, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah, and learning things we don't know. This is all this is about.
Yeah.
So,
Trust law.
Yeah. That's it, man.
That shit's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Take this opportunity to step off over here and go get with my family.
No doubt, brother. Thank you for joining us, man. Appreciate your time.
Hex, this is Enoch's face. I love y'all. God
bless. Peace, man. Thanks again.
Yeah, man, that guy's giving me like nostalgia because I felt exactly like him about a year ago. I mean, I still kind of do, but it sort of wears off and you get more realistic.
Yeah, it's a normal feeling now, right? It's an everyday thing. It's not like, now you can contain it. Before it was like, fuck.
Man, I was literally calling for $85 around this time this year. That's what I thought it was going to do, man. But this is I didn't have enough hex. I think basically anyone who was new, like they wanted to see the number keep going up, but it's a gift.
Nah. I mean, the thing with Hex was that the bid was so crazy. That thing was just going up every day and it just didn't make any sense. Like, I had never seen anything like that before. Like, not even the stock market, not even futures markets, like nothing. I've never seen nothing move like that. Nothing. Only crypto can do that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, only crypto can do this. And why? Because it's 24/7, 365, no interruptions. You can just access it. Once you figure it out, nothing can stop you. And once this turbo gets turned on and it just gets going, this is what we end up seeing. And this is the power of crypto, right? If I go back to V1, you're going to see that. That's going to be the whole image of this chart, is just how it just careens from one point to the next and to the next and to, I mean, look at this. This is just a one-way chart. It's a one-way chart, and people just act confused. I don't understand what's hard to get about this chart personally, but
man, if that was the bottom, that looks bullish as fuck. Landing just above, like,
bro, this is the whole chart. This is what I was trying to tell people earlier about why I didn't even need to show this one, because it's the same thing. Here, I'm showing it from here. The 2021 or the 2020 November top, right? That's what the other one was. But fact is, it's the same thing as this one.
Yeah.
It takes you to the same point.
That landing there is like almost perfect. I mean, even if it did dip a little lower than it did, it would still look bullish because it's like just landing on that accumulation.
Yeah, it's still holding. That's called holding the structure. The market is still holding the structure. Because what's happening is it's not going below this anchor point, right? This is like an anchor point. This is an anchor point. That's another anchor point. This is another anchor point. When we start going back up, this is going to be an anchor point. This is going to be an anchor point. This is going to be an anchor point. All these points in time, like right now, anchor point, anchor point, anchor point, right? Because the market is going to have to make a decision here.
Yeah.
Like, do I keep
Support
going?
And resistance, isn't it, man?
Yeah. Do I turn around? Because there's supply at those levels. Like, people sold there. But here's the thing that's different, right? In crypto versus stocks and futures and everything else, there is no actual supply up here. Like, nobody is actually short the market above this price. You just got people that can sell their supply. That's it. So that means they're stuck if they get out. You understand? This is that vacuum that I used to constantly talk about. I haven't talked about it in a while, but that vacuum is important to understand, because this is what propels Hex higher like this. You're in a vacuum. Once you get out, that's it. right?
Like, market leaves you behind, man.
Market leaves you behind. And this is even after a 90% dip. Now, let's see what's up with this question. The number of 6.17 HEX daily payout per T-share on a 505 stake go up over time? Yes. And the reason it will go up over time is because the amount of HEX required to earn yield goes up over time, right? So the system will be paying out more HEX over time because it is receiving more HEX over time, in essence, if you want to think about it like that. But in reality, what's happening is that the system is designed to calibrate those things lower or higher depending on what's happening with the system. And if the system is operating as it's supposed to, then the T-share rate is constantly going higher. And if the T-share rate is going higher, that means the payout is going to go higher because the math of the system is revolving at higher quantities, right? So everything has to happen at a higher rate. And this is kind of difficult for people to understand because there are people that have been around since day one still don't get this. But yes, it will go up over time because the system will require it. And that's just how it reprices, right? Because that's how it measures the ROI and all of that. So all of that is definitely relevant. So I hope that answers your question. Let me know if not. Let's see here. But yeah, that market structure, understanding market structure and what it means and what it should look like and stuff like that is very important to understand. Very important to understand. Haha. Yeah, those are the good old days, right? Crazy stuff, man. This thing was going 100 miles an hour. Yeah, that computer. Yeah, I had to shut the fans off, bro. Corner fan. Yeah, man. Good old days. Good old days. Let's see what other questions we got here. How many millions of T-shirts are there? Good question. We can actually see that. Where can we see it? Go.hex.com, I think. Yeah, you can actually see it here. And if you're wondering how many can the system actually contain, well, it's dynamic. There is no fixed amount. What you have to understand is that over time, the system will dictate whether it accepts more or less shares in the system. So as of yesterday, there's 10,434 million T-shares in the system. So there is the answer to your question, sir. And look, as you guys can see, T-share rate is constantly above 6 now, right? It is constantly elevating. When the system started, payout was less than 1 hex, right? That's what you're seeing over here in the pink dot area. So pay attention. Less than 1. Now we're at 10x in terms of payout, basically, from the beginning, right? And this is why early adopters get rewarded so handsomely, right? I mean, really, these are innovators getting rewarded. Early adopters are more people that came after, like myself and you whoever else came after these early days. When I showed up, the hex payout was, let's see, right around here, 4+. This is basically when I showed up right before big payday.
Top of the S curve, bro.
Yeah.
I gotta wait to see a parabola on this shit.
Yo, I had just missed this. When I discovered this, I got sick. I missed it by like a week or some shit. I was like, no, right? Like, damn, if only I would have known. I mean, that was the biggest payout to date at that point, right? But look at what we've experienced since then. I mean,
it's sad that like big one at the top was when was it Hex 19? He got hacked, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a hack.
That sucks, man.
It was a hack, but at least it went to people that will custody the asset accordingly, and not that hacker.
That hacker basically got nothing for those longer stakes. Like, it's kind of a defense against it in a weird way, isn't it? Like an unrealized you know, just an accident, but it kind of worked. Well, I guess it was probably an accident, but kind of helps a little bit. At least if hackers are going to do it, they can't really dump it on your head if it's all staked.
Correct, and that's the whole point. I mean, look, we had a 9.5, 10. It looks like on this one. Yep. Let's see, what's this one here? 11. This was the day of the hack. 24. So this is per T share. So if you got 100 T shares, 10 T shares, right? You multiply that payout by that number, and that's how you get your daily payout in crypto terms. But now, what's the system capacity? That's dependent on what's actually sitting in the liquidity pool. So for that, we go to Apex. Win /charts. Let's see here. There is 136 million hex, and what's the T-share rate? Like 21,873. Let's just assume that's the price, or it's a T-share. So that's how many T-shares somebody could buy from the market right now. 6,217, which isn't a lot. But if they stake them for 15 years, it becomes a lot. Right? It becomes 18,653. So that's the alpha on that. If you were quick enough to pay attention.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't quite add it up before.
So you just take the amount of hex that's sitting in the liquidity pool. Not this one, because that's B1.
136 million, did you say?
Yeah, 136 million divided by the whatever the T-share rate is. I just think it's 21,873. I think that's what it is. I don't know where to find it. All right, I was on it. 23,183. So I was off. So let's see here. Oh, we can just. So for one day, we would get 64,000 T-shares. If you do it for the max, oops, you get 18,130 T-shares. And that's just 3xing what you would have got for one day. Right? That's really all that it's doing. Oh, crap. It's not showing my page. I'm sorry, guys. Hold on. I'm here talking my life away, and I didn't even realize I wasn't seeing anything. Hold on, man.
I'm sat here with a calculator figuring it out, too.
All right, so let me go back. So I put that 136 million here in hexcalc.net. And for one day, that gives us the, flat amount of T-shares that you would get. 6,400 basically, minus 2. And once you put it out to the max, 18,130, right? Because you just basically
that isn't even that many. Well, I mean, it is a lot of T-shares, right? But like, for like the early guys, I know a few people that got more than that. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah,
that's like literally all of it on the market.
Got the money?
Cinco.
Who got $8 million right now? You got it? I ain't got it.
No, I ain't got it.
All right.
It wouldn't. That's the thing as well. It wouldn't even be that. It would be like way more because slippage and like it would probably be more like fucking $50 million, really, wouldn't it?
Right.
Man, when God will.
Right. I mean, and this is the thing. You gotta take all that into account. Now, there are people out here just sitting with $10 million doing nothing. Just there doing nothing. So they could easily come in and just be like, yeah, I want all that hex. But it's going to cost them because that slippage is going to be something crazy. It's going to be like 20%, 40% maybe. Who knows? Something out of this world, but it's going to cost them, and that's the point. That's the whole point of understanding the cyclical nature of hex and how it revolves around time, right? And why it's always going in one direction over time versus not, right? Like that's what it does. A good crypto does this, right? This is why Bitcoin was a good crypto until it got so big that the other people got involved, right? And if anybody wants to join, don't forget that the link is in the chat. So just, look for it. If you can't find it, let me know. Matter of fact, let me throw it in there again.
62% slippage, I think, is coming up.
There you go. So it's, understanding those things are very important. Very important. All right, let me see what other questions we got here. Yeah, I try to tell people about Hedron. 20x later, everybody's like, "Oh fuck, yeah, you motherfuckers wasn't paying attention." Hey,
Hedron's been steaming, man. It's doing so good. Like,
yeah.
I hope it keeps plowing on. I mean, it probably is ready for like a retrace now because of, like you said, it went up 20x, so it probably wants a little retrace, but it's gonna go again eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I just couldn't for the life of me understand, what people were thinking or weren't. Like 25x, motherfuckers missed out on 25x because they just. This is a fucking complete product, man, and they keep attaching shit to it. Like, what's wrong with you? like 1 + 1 is 2. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on, brother?
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's going on, Astro? What's going on, guys? All right, let me.
Chilling, man. Been watching you for a while. I love your content, brother.
Appreciate you, man. Oh, there we go. That's better. Let's put the people with faces up here. Those of us without.
How you been, Wales?
Doing good, guys. Thank you guys for joining, man. Just having a great chat, just kicking out the basics, understanding opportunity when it presents itself. When Hedron was down here, nobody was even talking about it. And if they were making fun of it. Very few people were saying, hey, get some. And this is how that's where your pocket needs to be. Right? That is the telltale sign of these people are not paying attention to this market. I need to shove all my money over there because that means by the time they figure it out, I'm already going to be sitting in bed chilling.
That's facts.
Yep. What up, man?
How do I feel about Hex?
That's right.
Hey, boys.
DCA
man. Good to see you, man. You're right.
Yeah, man. Do you like my hat? I wore this just for you.
Oh, nice one. Yeah, I love it, bro.
Hold on. Let's give this guy a solo layout.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Right.
Well, it was great meeting you in London, Mayo. That was good fun, man. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good, man. I'm afraid it sucks we didn't have enough time to keep talking. But
that's the nature of a what they call it, a globe trotting Hexican.
Too many friends, not enough time.
Right. What's going on, man?
Yo, Wales, what's up, man?
Hey,
what's up, everybody?
Yo.
What's up, bro?
Yeah, I appreciate you inviting us on stream. I've been kind of wanting to jump on stream with you for a while, Wales.
It's funny. I've always said that my streams are free for all to come on, but I guess since I'm not directly saying it all the time, every time, people just forget. But yeah, people always.
Yeah, I've been meaning to pick your brain about those charts that you have, man. I've watched them. I think I DM'd you months ago about like wanting to understand them, and I did go through your little playlist. But there's just so much going on, man.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So anyway.
All good. Well, so look, I want to update them. They're about a couple weeks old at this point, but let me see here. Is this the link? Yes. Let's see here. 8-1. Damn. Yeah. So, which one is the one that gives you the most pause?
I think it was just the whole, what do you call it, a stack?
Yeah.
And I did go through them, but it's the way that you sort of like I don't know, man. Just I guess what it all means.
I got you. So let me give you the gist
Yeah.
of what this chart set is saying. So for whoever's new, listen up. This chart set details everything that's happening on the blockchain for Hex. And what you have to remember is that Hex isn't some coin that you just buy and sell. It's something that you have to stake, right? So with staking, there comes other things. But even underlying that, it's important to know that Hex is a coin that has a bonding curve design. And what that means is that over time, the value of the proposition is going to recalibrate itself. And this is what this purple line is, this magenta line, this T-share rate, this line you're seeing right here. The last time I updated it, it was below where it is now. It was like 90, I think about 90 Hex is the difference. But now, when I first got into the system, it was down here, right? Like the T-share rate was down here. So you can get a bunch more T-shares at that point in time. And the price was in line with that reality to some degree, right? And this is what this chart is showing you. And on top of that, it's showing you the APY. And this is the inverse of APY, which is the percentage of coins that are staked out of the entire supply. And that number pretty much dictates what the APY actually is. If this number was 95%, then the APY would be 3.97 versus 39.7, given that it's 10x lower. But I kind of got sidetracked there. But long story short, this chart set is giving you everything that's happening on the blockchain, right? This is the value proposition for Hex, which is the T-share rate. And that T-share rate is letting you know how much yield you can purchase in crypto terms at this point in time. And it only gets more expensive every day. And that's what this chart is showing you. But we're in a point in time where dollar value wise, the crypto is depressed, right? And I was telling somebody earlier, Enoch, when he was on one of our hexagons, I explained, or I alluded, or I highlighted how critical the following statement is. Notice how expensive food is now compared to getting Hex, right? You can get like 17 Hex for $1 right now. You can't get 17 of anything for $1 right now that you can consume, right? Hold on, guys.
That's true.
FBI, open up.
Always with the sirens.
Another day, man. Just another day.
Yeah, I heard y'all talking about groceries earlier. I just ordered groceries on Amazon. Fucking shit was like $120.
There you go.
Got like a couple milk, couple eggs. That was it.
That was it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Please come again. We got some more raping to do. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's bad. It's bad. And the whole culprit is everything that's designed to work contra to this. And this is why understanding all this stuff, while not critical, does help give you confidence. Because ultimately, over time, if you understand why this happens at a high level, this is getting into the weeds, basically. Right? Because this is how you can explain how things happen. Right? Because if you're looking at this chart is showing you the dollar value of T-shares over time. Right? I mean, now we're at 12 billion, basically. Right? And that wasn't the case before. We started at 4 million. Right? So that's a pretty huge jump in value for something that, it's on a 90% dip. Like it was 70 billion, like from 4 million. And, how does a system make that kind of move? Right? These are the kinds of things that I think about. Like, how does a system go from 4 million flat to 70 billion in 660 something days, 640 days, right?
It's at 11 bill right now. The T
12
share.
billion.
That's okay.
No. That's the market cap. That's the dollar value of all T shares.
Yeah.
So that's like 12 billion probably right now. So all the T shares that exist in the system, this is a dollar value.
You're going to see that pink line get above the yellow line at some point.
I mean,
is that possible?
It's just a scaling thing. It's just a scaling thing. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
I don't
market
think it's
cap don't
possible
matter.
because you need a certain amount of hex to get a T share. So the share rate's always going to be more hex, right? It's like a bundle, a basket of hex, essentially.
Yeah.
Up and to the right forever.
Yeah, so the yellow line's always going to be above it. It's weird, though, how at the peak, it was closer to the yellow line, the pink line. Why is that?
Yeah,
That's
but if
weird.
the price of Hex skyrockets, no, will that do that? If the value of a single... No, you can't, because it still takes the Hex to create a T-shirt.
Yeah, it takes a certain amount of hex to
Like the
create a
ratio.
T-shirt, so it's weird how that gap sort of diminished. Or it probably has to do with the chart, right? Because it's logarithmic.
Well, there would be an amount to do it, but it would probably be very hard.
So check it out, guys. Let me explain it to you. So both scales are logarithmic, and this is why they look like that, right? They like the moves, like on a regular chart, they're gonna look. Where the hell is this thing? They're gonna look like this. They're gonna look like crap, right? Like, let me fix the scaling for this. It's gonna look like that. This is Bitcoin, right? It's gonna look like crap. Let me cover that. Yeah. And that, right? So this is Bitcoin. It's gonna look like crap unless it's in log form, right? So that's why we put it in log form. So when you come over here, this is in log form, that's in log form, because if not, it looks like a flat line. You're not seeing anything, and then that's not gonna let you analyze anything, right? It's gonna look like ash. So that's the purpose of log. So this is why they look different, but you got to realize, see, they got two different scales, and this is why they were close together at the time. Like, you can't read too much into that. What you got to look at, for example, is the shape of one versus the other, right? Like, for example, this is flatter than this, right? Like, if you look at the gyration in the price of Hex versus the value of the shares.
Like if the shape follows it, but the yellow line, the share rate seems more compressed. It's more compressed, right?
Right. That's right.
I guess what I was wondering is it more compressed because it's higher in the logarithmic chart?
Yeah. It is. It has to be. But here's the thing, because here's what's important to realize. While the moves are compressed because the values are higher, it's still a measure of variation. Does that make sense? Like how the market's moving, right? It's kind of like when you shake your arms out to your side. By the time the variation gets to your fingertips, it's not as much as it is at the top of your arm.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is kind of what I see, because of course the market was moving lower the whole time. It went from 70 billion to 4.5 billion, right? And now we're at 12, right? But the price went from 50 cents to 3 cents, and now we're at 6, right? But where were we the last time we were at 12 billion? Let's look. 12 billion. Looks like we were on our way up to 6 cents the last time we were at 12 billion. Or when we first traversed it.
Oh, that's an interesting comparison. So you're saying that at the last time we were at the same price, the current price of today, where the T-shirt rate is going to look different because
it was lower,
less hex.
It was lower.
The share rate was lower.
Yeah. That's right. See, so the system over time, it forces itself higher in a lot of ways. And this is why you have this term pumpamental that Rich is always throwing around, and we all use it, right? Because the system is designed to force itself higher. That is the value proposition. And this is what you see in, let me show you this chart. This chart.
I guess what I would imagine really quickly, referring back to the other chart, the way I would imagine just the hex price compared to the share rate, I would imagine them just both kind of like diverging because the share rate continually goes up. So it should be going higher relative to hex, right?
Yeah, the share rate's always going to go higher relative to Hex.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that the share rate chart line, it should be diverging away from the hex price line. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like,
here's
consistently,
here's this
but it's
T-share
not.
rate. Here's a T-share rate line, right? It should always be going up and to the right, always.
Yeah.
Now the hex price line is this pink one. I just multiplied it by 10,000 because that has to do with the T-share rate and how it's calculated. So at this point in time, when I recorded this price, 10,000 hex costs $484. That's what this is saying. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So over time, even this number is going to always be higher because this number is going to be predicated on the number of hex required to generate a T-share. You see?
Mm-hmm.
And these are the lines that are going to be divergent.
Got it.
Because I understand what you're saying, but
Yeah.
I already have that line is exactly what you're looking for. This is the line that's going to give you this in dollar terms. And these two lines are going to always be divergent. And they started becoming divergent all the way back here when the T-share rate started going up.
Hold on, could I slow you down?
Sure.
So why? So yeah. So this is kind of what I was imagining: the pink and the yellow line here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how is the pink line, the more flat static line? That one represents the amount of hex, and the yellow line represents the dollar value of the T-share. Is that what the difference is?
This is the pink line is just 10,000 hex.
Sorry, no, the hot pink one.
The hot pink one is the T-share rate.
And the yellow one is the US dollar value
of this line.
Okay, got it. Okay.
In real time, in real terms, just in real time. I mean, so every day I'm recording the updated value.
Got it.
So if the rate changes on the day, it's going to change here, and the dollar value is going to change here.
See, I think this is what I needed. I just needed kind of like to talk through it with you, so I could understand it. Because I was looking at what the representations mean up there, but
gotcha.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's not clear if you don't know the difference between rate and the dollar. But now, now it's clear. Now that you've been able to talk it through, sometimes you do have to talk things through in order to get them. So I completely understand that because I had to figure that out. Right? Yeah. We all had to figure this stuff out. We all had to figure out Hex. So.
Sometimes it's easier to do the practical than it is the theory, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Now this chart is why we all want to buy Hex, right? Why we all want T-shares. This line is letting us know how many Hex one T-share has earned since day one of the system. 4,700 Hex, basically. And this is why longer pays better. Because the longer you hold on, the more you earn. And the greater crypto you earn, which is going to be compounded by the weakness in the dollar, right? Because we're always trading against something that is designed to fail. And that's why we're paying so much to eat and survive, but so little for something so valuable like Hex. Because this is how we combat that problem, right? Because now we're facing another market issue. Right? Remember what I told you guys literally like 30 minutes ago. You know, where do you go in the market? Right when we were talking about Hedron. You go to where the money is not. That's where you always go. And if you weren't buying food before now, like I told you guys to be doing a year ago, right? You are in a world of hurt right now, paying 100% more for your regular groceries. And that's just the world we're in. Because the value of the dollar always goes in one direction. But what's happened? We've been presented with an opportunity to reacquire this asset or these assets, because I'm really talking about crypto in general, just real crypto, because that's what you have to buy, not things with middlemen, not things with keys, things where you control your destiny, because that's what crypto is for, right? So you now have another opportunity to acquire crypto at a discount that people thought was never going to come and be seen again. Because, you know, a T-share at $10,000 is just crazy, right? Like everybody can't afford that. We're talking about a B share is $1,000. Like that was crazy. And now it's a few dollars for a B share. And a B share is going to be worth $1,000 again. Right? So do you want to
crazy, man?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's when they want it.
I thought that price was never coming back, man. That shit was crazy. The level of euphoria.
Hey, Wales, back on the previous chart, just for those that don't know, what was the big event that caused that such a big spike in the T-share rate?
This one, right? Yeah, so this
if
was a
anyone
big
doesn't know.
payday rate. Yeah, this is for those that don't know, might be new. This spike here was essentially the end of the launch phase for HEX. Because as I was explaining earlier, this is a bonding curve design token. And what that means is that something has to exist to drive the value or the existence of this coin and why it's here. Right? And I'm so behind in the chat. So I'm sorry, guys. But we'll get to the questions in a little bit. But this is kind of what started off the actual bull run. Because it got out all the people that didn't belong in the system and then brought in people that wanted to be in the system. Right? The only downside was that this line didn't really change. And this was the huckleberry. This was the canary in the coal mine that a lot of us missed. Because throughout this whole run up, what we didn't see was an increase or a decrease in this, or an increase in this line and a decrease in this APY, which is what should have happened to let us know that this was in fact going to support this high valuation, because that's the only way a system. I ain't got no minds out here. So that's the only way the system could have sustained such a high valuation in such a short time frame. You see, because we went from nothing, 60 cents a T-share to $10,000 a T-share. I mean, this is 8,200, but that then jumps to 16,000. So between 16,000 and this gap here, you got to think we're at 10,000 or 9,000 something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I could have sworn it hit like 12 G's per T-share, somewhere around there.
It might have been intraday. I don't know. It could have happened.
I think it was like 8.5. It got to.
Oh, really?
Was the highest, somewhere like that.
It was pretty up there.
It was up there. I mean, anything above 7 is anything above 5,000 is kind of crazy when you think about what this is, because it's really the quickest way out for people right now out of this dire financial situation.
Sadly, they only want it while it's going up. They don't want to buy while it's down.
Yeah, that's the problem, and this is why so many people missed that 25x in Hedron.
Yeah, I got a question about Hedron real quick, if you don't mind.
Shoot, bro.
So what's this, the timing with claiming it, right? Apparently there's an appropriate time where you should claim the coins, right? It's like for the T-shares that you get is the Hedron that you get, right? That's kind of how it works.
You mean when your stake ends?
Yeah.
You claim, you mint the Hedron first, and then you end your stake.
Because if you claim it first, then you can mint it after that, right?
Yeah. So claiming, all right. So let's walk through these terms.
Hang on, it's only mint now, isn't it? It wasn't claim only the bonus.
Yeah,
stage?
Claim was during the launch phase. I don't think you
right. So I claimed with my stakes that I
claimed. Oh, then you're good. Then now
you gotta claim your bonus.
So I just haven't minted yet.
Wait, there's a bonus?
No. I'm saying. Yeah, he's talking about claiming his bonus, like locking it in pretty much.
Yeah, so you've locked in your claim bonus from the launch phase, but you haven't minted that yet.
Right.
Yeah, that's fine.
So when should I mint, I guess, is my question.
Before your stakes end.
Or now, and then you could go stake it on Icosa.
Or now, and you can stake it, right.
And earn Icosa.
Yeah,
that's right. You can make it work for you now, or you can
go to app.icosa.pro, and you could mint all your Hedron that's mintable right now up to today, and then you could stake it right away and start earning just like you would stake Hex, and you want to earn Hex, but instead of earning Hex, you'd be earning Icosa.
What was that link again? It was
what's up?
App.icosa. What was it?
.pro.
It's app.icosa.pro. Pro.
Sick.
Gas is cheap, so get to it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Sure, brother.
I really need to sort that out, man. Like,
And you could also, if you wanted to, throw some in for that NFT, the We Are All.
The WhatsApp thing,
the essay, yeah. So pretty much it's a
essay, right?
It's a 14-day window,
right.
And after that 14-day window closes, that's it forever. Whatever NFTs are minted, those holders will be earning Icosa as well.
Yep.
And
it's not like a real NFT; it's just like a protocol NFT for those that
gotcha.
Remember, for those that pull their or they harvest their NFTs, it burns the NFT, so it will get more scarce over time as well.
Or because it is an NFT, you could also sell it. So I was going to say you could think of it almost in the same way as Maxi, how it has a premium over regular Hex, or not just regular Hex, obviously because it's a 5 stake, it's earning yield, but it has a premium above the intrinsic value underneath it. So in the same way, I would imagine this NFT is going to have like a premium as well. So if you want to burn it, but you also don't want to wait and you need the money for whatever reason, you could just sell it, you know what I'm saying, to someone else with the premium. Right. So like let's say you were to want to cash out, right, on the NFT, you could burn it and then get the Icosa that you've earned. But I would imagine if you sell it on the secondary market, you might get more money for it because of the premium. Maybe.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Because people are gonna want that Hex ultimately.
Yeah, because it's gonna be earning yield. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The NFT perpetually forever.
Yeah, that's too. Sorry, I was confusing myself.
Yield is your friend.
Too busy talking about Hex, but yeah, that too.
When's that Richard Hart Diamond NFT coming out though?
I don't know. He's slacking on that. Man. Apparently, he's in a vault, so maybe never.
Did you see that podcast he was on today?
Nah, I ain't seen it, but I heard all about it.
Which one are you talking about?
Freshman, whatever the fuck it's called.
Freshman
I watched it all.
I watched like the first half of it when he was just talking to the boys, and then I seen a clip of like when the girls were in there.
The girls were like bullshit. The ones where he was on with the dudes was cool, but like the first half is like him telling a story, and the second half I think is the gold part. The second half was like some good shit.
Cool.
For sure.
Yeah.
It was definitely a good stream. You saw a bit more of a personal side, I suppose, the real Richard, not just the shilling.
Yeah, talk about his background.
I love that Richard's doing this this kind of uncalled for, just like random tour of the US now, seeing as he ended up there anyway. It's good to see him out there doing stuff.
This is where it gets tricky, Wales. Like those other ones, I could kind of understand by looking at the top, like the legend or whatever.
Yeah.
But like these, I'm like, what the fudge is this?
Yeah, this
like
is just payout per T-share is what POTS stands for. I mean, I probably should have wrote that out. And these are just averages. So all-time averages in yellow, 28 days in orange, and 55 days in magenta, which is that hot pink. And as you can see, price kind of likes to stay above that all-time average T-share payout. And I put them on the same scale to kind of show the relation. Even though one is linear and the other is logarithmic, that being the price. But still, you know, the relationship honestly should hold over time. So something to keep in mind.
I'm sorry. So the top two, the ones on the right, the orange and pink, those are moving averages. So like the 28 day and the 55
share.
Yeah, of the payout per T-share. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the yellow one is the all-time average every single day since the first day. So that's why it's so much lower than these, because these are a much shorter time frame. So it's not encapsulating as much data.
Got it.
Meaning it's not being divided as much, that total amount. But this is how you kind of garner maybe what fair value might be for Hex at this point in time. Maybe, right? Maybe not, because you're getting this every day. So maybe over time, this notion of fair value at this so-called payout rate actually increases with this, right? Because we're getting paid every single day, not just one day.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's just another vantage point for how to view the game theory with Hex. Really, is all that is. This is just what you saw on go.x.com in chart form. So this is what the t-shirt line looks like graphically. It's basically a flat line because t-shirts are expensive now. So it's not like before where you had some kind of swings in here, even though they weren't big swings, but they were swings nonetheless. The highest I remember seeing, it was greater than 11 million. And we haven't seen anything close in a long time. So that t-shirt payout is always going to be high because of that. Because that's just a divisor, you know, it's just the payout the system pays divided by the number of t-shirts gives you that payout per t-shirt. That's it. No more, no less. And, you know, that's just how the system works. So if the system keeps requiring people to put up, you know, X amount of X, then every day the system's going to have that Hex to pay out to commensurate, you know, that APY that is supposed to be generating 3.69. And we're not even minting that 3.69, right? Like, we're so far off because the system only mints these coins when you actually end your stake. It doesn't do it a moment before. So this is what you see, right? The cumulative inflation is the inflation that's actually minted in the system. And what I do is I take the difference of what actually gets minted versus 369, which is the annual inflation. But if you look at the scaling here, we started at 359, which is right after Big Payday. And we're damn near 600 days removed from that.
How do you get the it's probably on Hex Daily Stats, like what actually gets minted? Okay.
Yep.
So the code is a 369, like that's what's supposed to happen, but because of the deferred because of the nature of the system, only 2.68 gets minted.
And this is every day. This is cumulative. This is where we're at now. This is not an annualized number. This is where we are at, period.
Oh, so like today it's 2.68.
2 weeks ago.
Okay, so 2 weeks ago. Is that year to date or is that just on that day?
That's from the end of launch phase, which is post Big Payday, to that day, August 1st.
That's how much has been inflated.
Yep, not even the 3.69. That's right.
Interesting.
Right. Wow.
What is that 1.01?
That's what's been deferred. This is always going to go down over time.
Oh, okay,
right?
So that's a difference. I see.
Yeah, that's a delta. That's right, the difference.
Interesting.
I really need you mods out there to freaking block these damn. Thank you.
Yo, Wales, I'm gonna head out, bro.
No worries, brother. Thank you for joining, man.
Yeah, man. Have a good one. I'll see you guys.
Brother.
Take it easy, Blood More.
Hey, man.
But yeah, so this chart is pretty critical because it helps you understand why Hex has the potential to fly so high. There's not that many coins floating around.
This one's really important because I've heard it being just talked about how, like Richard mentions it all the time, how it's supposed to be 3.69, but it's not really. It's lower because it's deferred. It's cool to see it on a chart with the actual numbers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Because this is the proof. This is the pudding, right?
Yeah.
Nobody can tell you anything now. Now here you see it.
Yep.
And this is what's important about all this stuff. This is all the stuff that the blockchain is showing us that we say and we brag about, but you know, until you can really see it, like Hex is decorrelated from ETH and Bitcoin.
These are other ones that like I had trouble understanding the plot chart.
Let me explain these, because this is something that you really only see if you like get it in math class or something like that, and some of us don't get that. So what's happening here is we got a graph, and this graph is plotting the returns for Hex on the x-axis and the returns for ETH on the y-axis. Same thing here, Hex on the x, but Bitcoin on the y this time. And each dot is each day since Hex's inception versus both Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Each dot is the returns for each day. So as you guys can see, the x-axis goes from 0 all the way out, right? Positive side, negative side, both, right? Ethereum, Y scale, same deal. Negative, zeros in the middle, which might be a little hard to see. Let me see if I can put us down in here.
I'm sorry, which one is the Y? So vertical is Y, right?
Vertical is Y.
Algebra.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So ETH is vertical, right?
Correct. ETH is vertical.
Okay. And then in the middle would be 0 for
Right.
ETH. And
Right.
then left
Same
and
thing.
right. Okay.
Same thing. Bitcoin. The middle is
Okay.
going to be 0. Y is going to be up, down, right from that 0, and the X is going to be the same deal for Hex. 0 positives to the right, negatives to the left, right? And each plot is going to be the return for that respective day, right? And as we can see here, we had this 100% return day for Hex, and that ended up being a flat day for Bitcoin. Let's see if we can track that one dot on Ethereum. Yep, right here. And it was a slightly positive for Ethereum, but we still did the same return, right? Because what's happening is we're measuring. So what is a correlation? You're measuring the motion of one thing versus the motion of another. Each step, right? 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4. It's like dancing, right? A highly positive correlation is going to be a pair of good dances. Non-positive correlation, meaning a decorrelated asset, is going to look like some ugly dances. They doing whatever they want to do. So that's one way to look at it. And each dot is letting us know how close they are to each other. Because if they're going to be very close to each other, they wouldn't be spread out all over like this. They would actually be in some type of pattern, some configuration, whether it be negative or positive. And we don't see that on these charts. We just see this scatter, this basically tossing of marbles all over the place. And this is how you know that there is no correlation, and this is what the math tells us, because this chart happens to give us the actual answer. And this is why I use it. And what you see here is the R squared, and the R squared is basically a measure of the correlation. And that measure can only go from 1 on the positive side to -1 on the negative side. And what you're seeing here is a 0, meaning 0 correlation. This is what this number means, the R squared. So that's how we can say this is 3 is a 0.3 zeros and a 5. That's what this number is. So it's even smaller correlation for Bitcoin than it is for Ethereum. For Ethereum.
Oh, sorry, for Ethereum.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
But
is that because of Hart's law? You think?
Yes. Yeah, because Hex is not supposed to be doing what the other coins are doing because they're not tied to the same system. Hex is really.
It's a whole different blockchain. So
yeah, well, Ethereum.
But Ethereum is tied to Bitcoin too, right? By Hart's law as well.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. Ethereum and Bitcoin are kind of like these trading things now. They're not really assets or stores of value or whatever they want to call them. You know, they're really not those things anymore. And this is why Hex can stand alone, because Hex is really decentralized. It's really a store of value. It's really all these things that these others only claim to be. See, and that's important because the market, you can see it. The market shows it, and this is how it shows it. Right. Let's see here. All right, this one. This is the ticket, because this is how we know that Hex will always go up and to the right, right? In this form. This is how we know. Because as we discussed earlier, the T-share rate only goes up.
Yeah.
And what am I showing here? Right here, I'm showing
what are these? 34-day correlation? Is that what
21
it
day, 21 day, 34 day, and 55 day. Rolling correlations between the dollar cost of Hex and the dollar cost of a T-share. And look at what you're seeing here. I just gave you the definition of correlation about 2 minutes ago. +1, -1. This chart can only be above 0 because T-shares are positively correlated to Hex, right? So what this chart is showing us is how not only is the T-share rate helping the valuation of Hex, it's ensuring that over time it goes in one direction. And that's up because this correlation barely breaks 99 or 0.9 if you want to look at it that way. Because this is what this line is showing us. And this is about 6 months after Big Payday. 4 or 5, 6 months after big payday. That's when this relationship really locked itself in, and that's when we saw that breakneck move in Hex. Because as you can see, the chart was like right around 1 cent at the bottom of this. Right here is like 1 cent, and we ran from 1 to 50. That's a 50x, and this is why. Like, you had to do it, and you got to do it, and it continues. And this correlation hasn't broken. So once things start picking up again, and there's nobody else really selling, 8 million in a clip of Hex, all that stuff ends, right? So these are like important things to keep in mind. Here's a total value lock. This is basically all the Hex that's staked in the system. And you can also look at this kind of like the share value, right? It's kind of almost the same deal, because they shouldn't be like the same and stuff like that. Like, they should be similar and in motion and stuff like that, but they shouldn't be moving the same and looking the same in terms of variation, right? As we talked about earlier. Now, this looks similar because it's just a whole bunch of staked Hex. We're not looking at the value per T-share here, right? We're just looking at the value of a whole bunch of staked Hex, and that's just going to be the dollar value multiplied by the amount of stake Hex. It's not going to be anything fancy.
Yeah.
So that's why it's very similar. But if you notice, you'll see that, again, it's a little compressed relative to the other and stuff like that. But that's kind of what you want to see, right? Because that compression leads to something, because it has to affect this underlying, because that underlying matters. That's where everything is really coming from. It's like this circular loop that you got to kind of wrap your head around. Now, this is a total value lock per staker. This is showing you the dollar value of Hex stake per person or per wallet address or whatever.
So you just divide it by the amount of unique wallets or whatever?
Yeah, correct. That's right. And we get this number. Now, the interesting thing is I talk about it being logarithmic, Hex is logarithmic based to nature. And what you see is how this is all, 2 n values. You got 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, right? These are 2-bit base 2 values.
So they double going up.
Correct. Because you're going from 2 to 4 to 8, right? 4 times 2, 8 times 2, 16 times 2, 32 times 2. So they're always doubling. And this is how we know this is a log base 2 system, right? Now, it's not just that, but the scaling and the pauses at these log base 2 levels is kind of what gives us that inclination that it is log base 2. Because if you look, they always stop at these points. Pause, right? Why would it do that? It could stop literally anywhere else. Not there, but it always chooses to stop and pause and play around at this point.
Interesting. So like resistance and support, essentially.
Always.
It gets snagged.
Yep. Always around those points. And this is why I always say that Hex is a log-based to return type system, because this is what it shows us repeatedly. This isn't the only chart that shows us this, but it's the best representation. It's the easiest visible version of it. So this is the one I like to lean on to show that. Because it's crystal clear here. Go ahead, brother.
Is that the network effect too? I watched your one.
Yeah. To a certain extent, it's an impact of that. And what happens is that the more people that enter the system and stake, the higher this value is going to jump, because there's going to be more dollars locked and more stakers. So by default, the ratio has to go higher.
Oh shit! Oh, that finally clicked for me. Okay.
You're welcome.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Once it hits you, it's like, damn. Yeah, it's crazy. Stake Hex per staker, pretty self-explanatory, but as you guys can see, this is a one-way train. Right at the beginning, we were at, and we're only going back 600 days, which is after big payday, as you guys can see. We were at 2.5 million.
Damn.
Now, less than 650,000. Get your stakes in, folks. Market don't play. Payout in hex terms per staker. As you guys can see, it was above 2,500 at the beginning, and now we are once again below 700. So time is always.
Wait, why is the payout going down per staker?
Because T-shirt getting more expensive and more stakers in the system.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, double-edged effect. That's right. And we're finally at the end where we see how the coin stake as a percentage of supply, total supply, affect the pool ROI. Now, look where we're at now, 39. So, right, we're right between 9 and 10%, and it was 9.59 as I showed you guys earlier, which brought us to 39 and some change, right? So, what happens if the system ever tries to go full capacity? Well, you got to know, first off, that full capacity for the system is predicated on the total quantity of coins that exist. So, and that means in in reality, right? So, if the system can only lean on, I think there's like 580 billion coins right now, and 350 billion of those no longer are in circulation. That means there's only what 530, or did I say that right? No, 230. 250, excuse me. 250 billion approximately in circulation that could be touched as of this point in time. So, and
but
we're
well,
talking
of those 250, isn't like 70% staked?
68 billion, I think, of that is 68, 69 billion of that is staked. So whatever that number ends up being.
So then you got like 180, plus or minus 10 million
that could be floating
circulating.
Around.
Yeah,
that could be floating around. That's right. So go ahead. Oh, I thought you were going to say something. So basically, if we take 100, was that 580 minus 180? That leaves us with a 400 billion gap, right? So that means that you're having a whole big chunk. So that's 400 divided by 580. Oof. Damn. So that's 33%, man. Oof.
Wait, what are these numbers you're doing right here?
Hold on, I'll explain it in a second.
Okay.
What the hell is the negative sign? One minus 0.689. Yeah, 31%. All right. So this number is telling us that this is basically as low as we can go.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, because the other portion is in the OA, right?
So I'm not even taking the OA into account. I'm taking everything into account.
Okay.
OA, non-OA, whatever. This is all coins that are floating that are out there. Staked, unstaked, everything. So that's the potential floor for the system as it stands. Double-digit yields. And I'm only talking on one chain. I ain't even talking about the duplicate or the triplicate.
I was just gonna say that's fucking crazy. Is that for real though? The triplicate? It's just like so.
No, this
it's
is crypto,
so crazy. Baby. I'm not even like. That's crazy.
This is crypto, baby. This is. So what's gonna happen? I mean, I've talked about this before, but the longer the system exists, the more people are gonna have to acquiesce to using it because it works. Period. This is why I've always said no fucking choice. Doesn't matter what people want to think. Doesn't matter what their opinion is. The facts lay bare what's going to happen. And this is why we continue to shine while everybody else continues to look like they under a fog. Very simple. When you invest in things that work as they're designed to work, you don't see cloudy days. You see opportunistic days. Very huge difference. We don't got to worry about DCAing. We DCA in every day if we don't have fiat. And if we do, we're just expanding our opportunity to DCA in every day. So either way we win. The network effect takes hold over time because more people become aware of the product and that it works. So over time, everything that's been foretold is just going to be because the math is what's going to dictate what's going to happen, not nobody else. It's the math that's going to dictate what's going to happen, and that's what we're going to see, right? I mean, this didn't happen by mistake, right? These things happen because people find and have interest, and we just got paid, right? It's another day, another dollar for us, and these are the kinds of things that we got to keep in mind. Now, look, to close out the stream, I kind of want to talk about something that's pretty important that the average person probably doesn't think about. Now, got brought to my attention that, typically, for those that don't know, August is a month where nothing happens by law. Congress is supposed to be off back in their congressional districts, whether they're in the Senate or the House. But guess what? As you guys can see on the screen, they're kind of just not off. They're still all in DC doing stuff. And you guys see them and hear them every day, right? You see them passing bill. They just passed that Inflationary Expansion Act earlier today. So they clearly are not off on vacation like they're supposed to be. Now, I started asking myself, why could that be? And let me read to you why. Well, this could be a very good reason as to why. In Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution, it describes the design of the legislative branch of the U.S. government, i.e. Congress. And let's go down to Section 6. This is pretty cool. You guys are going to probably laugh when you hear this. The senators and representatives shall receive a compensation for their services to be ascertained by law and paid out of the Treasury of the United States. They shall, in all cases, except treason, felony, and breach of the peace, be privileged from arrest during their attendance at the session of their respective houses, and in going to and returning from the same, and for any speech or debate in either house, they shall not be questioned in any other place. You guys catch that?
Wow.
Interesting. No? Yes.
Arrest like they're immune from the law, or does that mean like arrest like
immunity?
That's insane.
That's right.
Always a loophole.
Always. So I don't know what's going on, but as you guys can probably tell, they're freaking the fuck out. Because they're doing all the craziest shit that they can do.
They're panicking, man.
Panicking is right. They're not on vacation like they're supposed to be. And this could be a very good reason as to why. Because they shall in all cases. Because here's the thing. We can't say, even though it's on record, right? Guilty until you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. And because they're politicians, they're going to get that treatment. So even though we know they're treasonous, we know they've committed anything way above anything that's listed here, felony and breach of the peace, right? We already know they should all be arrested. We know this, but they won't do it because of the level of political scandal that it would cause in just the world. Like, the world isn't ready for this. Think about all the fucking sheep that you encounter every day. Impossible. So this is why this is like a dance, and they have to basically hang themselves.
That's insane, man.
Yeah, but which they're doing in spectacular fashion.
Hanging themselves?
Yeah, they're hanging themselves in spectacular fashion. They really are. Right?
But do you think Do you think they push the limits of hanging themselves because they know what they can get away with because of this?
Well, yeah, because
Right.
people are at a point now where they're realizing that these people are not what they thought that they were, right? Because everybody's kind of seeing it now, especially with this, the arming of the IRS. I mean, I was talking about this over a decade ago.
What is this? Arming the IRS.
That's nuts, man.
Exactly.
Oh, got it. Putting guns on them. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I read that in a tweet that they're they got to be prepared to use lethal force, right?
Yeah, and they deleted that job posting. Why? We already saw it. What'd you delete it for? And this is why they're arming the IRS agents, because they can't get the guns out of our hands. And it's a lot easier for them to accost individuals and small businesses than it is to commit the level of treason that would require policemen in the military to commit treason. That would be much harder. Here, you're training these people to think that everybody is supposed to pay taxes, when it is in fact unlawful to a certain extent. Assuming you understand how it's unlawful, right? Because that's the catch. And this is why everybody has to read that strawman book. If you don't read that strawman book, it's going to sound like everybody is talking crazy when they talk like that. You know?
I mean, I've heard these things about
what's going
like
on,
Roe.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Like
How's it going?
revocation of election.
Yeah.
But then I've also heard stories. What's up, Crypto Sloth?
Hey, what's up?
I've also heard stories about like Peter Schiff's father, for instance, who tried not paying his taxes and ended up in jail.
Yeah. You got to know the how, right? It's all about the details. And this is what I spend my time doing. Like, when I see something that doesn't make sense, I go out of my way to figure it out. And this is what this book answers. How did that gentleman find himself in a way where he lost when he was in the right? Because he didn't address the issues correctly. That's why. And you gotta educate yourself in order to be able to do that. I mean, look at what happened to Peter Schiff himself. They just closed his fucking bank down. You know why?
Oh shit.
Yeah, they just closed his little fucking bank down. Why? Because he don't matter, bro. It's not his system. You understand? And this is what everybody that thinks that they have X dollars in their bank account or whatever they want to call their fiat, that's what they don't understand. Like, you just need to use that shit to pay your bills, because that's what these other fools accept until further notice. But to think that that's the only store of value, you're playing yourself. Because I just showed you how it's not. You're paying more for food and less for assets. Boom. Not normal, right?
Well, boys, I'm gonna shoot off. It's like 1:15 in the morning now, and I'm actually traveling first thing in the morning.
You pushed it. Too far, man. Too far.
Where you going, man?
I'm just going down to the seaside to meet some other hexagons for a day. So it's gonna be fun.
Enjoy, man.
The seaside.
The seaside, yeah, that's what we call
they call it.
Yeah, we don't call it that here. That's hilarious. I mean, it's dope. The seaside.
It's good to see you again, Hexy. Hope you're doing well, man.
But yeah, you guys take care. Safe whales. I'll catch you all soon.
Man.
Good to see you, man.
Again.
A bit, boys.
Yeah, man. Going to the seaside. Imagine that. I live on the seaside.
It sounds so much nicer when you say the seaside.
Sounds crazy. I can't even imagine that shit.
Our whole country's a seaside, apparently.
Yeah, it is.
It's funny, like when I met all the English guys, there's so many different ways that they say things compared to us.
Yep. It's a thing.
It blows my mind, yeah. Like
they just kicked y'all off the island to the other island.
Yeah. But just the slang and the words that they say is so different.
Yep. It's interesting because when I went, I was like, yo, what the fuck? Like, it's a whole different language. It's a whole different language, and you got to listen hard. Otherwise, you're going to miss it.
Yeah, so it's more complex, I think.
It's very complex, yeah. If you're not used to it, you will get it. We'll go over your head. So check this out. Title 18 of the U.S. Code. This is probably Section 9 or some shit. I don't know. It's against their law for you, a man on the land, an American national, to act like a citizen of the United States. That's because you're impersonating. That's literally against their law. So how does that happen? That happens when you actually are not a citizen of that jurisdiction. And here's a catch. If you read that straw man book, you're discovering that that's optional.
I'm buying that book right now, actually.
Wait, is that what it's called? The Strawman book?
Yep.
Yeah, it was linked in the chat. Your Excellence linked it.
Oh shit, okay.
On Amazon.
There it is.
I'm ordering it right now.
Yep.
Strawman book.
To a certain extent, yes, we're all criminals every day. That's their goal. It's to have people living in fear of the system. When there's nothing to fear. You just got to know what the actual rules are and how we got to this point so you can actually figure out how to maneuver.
Duck and weave, baby. Duck and weave.
So how do they get us? Well, they switched from public law to public policy. So all of these rules and regulations and statutes and all this shit, all of that, unlawful. We're not supposed to be abiding by any of that. But where they get us is that we consent to it because we don't understand why we're beholden to any of that. Once you read this book, you will understand that when you look at your ID card or your bank card, you will see your name in all caps. But you don't write your name down in all caps anywhere, ever.
Oh, I have. I tend to have.
By choice.
Yeah.
That's not what your name is. And that's the point. Right? By correct grammatical writing, your name is capital letter, lowercase letter, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point. Because on paper, there is a difference. And this is the loophole that most of us don't even realize. Because we're not used to thinking in these terms. We don't even realize that the whole system got to set up like that. But that's the catch. And that's what that book teaches you. That's why it's important to read that book. Because what you're saying is that you're a piece of property. You're a piece of chattel. Every time you agree and consent to anything these fools put in front of you. But you got to know how to say, no, I don't want nothing to do with that. And that term is, in fact, legalese. Yes. So, Sloth Brother, I know you came on to talk about Icosa, Hedron, and all that. I know.
Hey, Sloth, I just want to say your videos are awesome, and thanks for spitting your knowledge.
Hey, thanks, man. You know, my pleasure. I'm just talking about things that interest me, and it's been really awesome to see people respond to that. But yeah, Wells, you know, I heard you talking a little bit earlier. I was headed to jiu-jitsu, but I just got out.
Nice.
And so I know you were saying you've done some. It seems like you understand a little bit of it, but you're saying you haven't done the deep dive. And I was like, well, if you have any questions you want to talk about it, I think you'd really like it. Just because, you know, when you understand the incentives and how they align in the system, like it always leads back to locking more hex up 5555. And I know that's something you appreciate.
Right. But that's like the whole point, right? It's like, what is Hedron doing, right? It was already something useful before. It just needed time to get to that point.
Yep.
Now what's happened is that they essentially have sped up that process.
Exactly.
Right. And that's essentially what's happened, right? Long story short. So
that's exactly right.
Right. So, you know, what I got to figure out basically is what is Icosa? And it seems to be like an algorithmic stable coin that basically bases its existence upon shares.
Ish. Yeah. Ish. Like it's like Hedron's a little bit more directly tied to like the actual share. Just because you mint it based on the B shares you have. This is a little bit more tied to like a multiple of hex. It's more tied to like how much Icosa you can get from a hex stake. It's not exactly the share. Yeah.
So it's like an inverse T-share rate to a certain extent.
Yeah. And so that base, like we'll call it the equilibrium point for now. So the point where like if above it you could arb it down and profit immediately, and below it you could like buy it off the market cheaper than you could like sell an HSI to get it.
Right.
That equilibrium point you can just calculate, like take literally any number of hex, make it 5555, and then figure out how much Icosa you'll get, divide that by, you can either do it in hex terms, so divide that by the hex you put in, or divide it by the dollar value you put in if you want to measure it in US dollars. And then that's essentially that equilibrium point that it's tied to. And if you look at it now, it's about 30, 32 hex is like the fair value or the equilibrium point for one Icosa. So
right.
like
It's about a couple bucks or something like that, right?
Exactly.
90 or something, $1.80.
Wait, how do you calculate the equilibrium point, Sloth? You get a bag of hex and you divide it by what?
Yeah, so the formula for how much Icosa you get when you sell your HSI to the contract, it is the advanceable Hedron divided by the T-share rate. And so if you want to calculate this out, you just run literally any number of hex. So if you have a 10,000 hex, and then you get like, I think like 1,200 B shares out of it or something.
I guess that's what I was asking. So you would have to divide the amount of hex by the share rate, the current share rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you would get how many shares you would get. And then
I just use that hexcalc.net. That gives you the exact thing. But then once you get the advanceable Hedron that you would get, so you take the B shares that stake has times presumably 5555, because that's how you're making your capital most efficient. Divide that by the T-share rate. That's the number of Icosa that you get for that specific stake. And then if you want to get the ratio, just take that number that it spits out and divide it by whatever you want to price it in, whether it be hex or the dollar. So 1.29 T shares is how much you get. So if we plug that in I have a calculator up too, so and let's see, what's the T share rate? 23175.
Yeah, 183 now. It's going up here, is it?
Yeah, 23183.
23183. So it looks like and then so the Icosa my calculator's a little left up. But then essentially if you do that, you'll get that fair value.
So you divide 1.294 by 23,183.5, and then that would give you the amount of Icosa. Yeah.
Let's see.
Because I heard you saying that it wasn't tied to the share rate as much as it was to hex. That's why I got confused.
Well, it is tied to the share rate. So you see the share rate formula in the HSI buyback twice. When you calculate the amount of advanceable Hedron that you have, it's in B shares. So it's the B shares times your stake length minus days minted. And so to get B shares, you have to put up hex. And so as the T-share rate goes up, it gets harder to get B shares over time. And then that whole thing is divided by the T-share rate. So as the T-share rate goes up, the ability to get Icosa also goes down. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So I say the direct inverse in a way, because it's moving the opposite way. It's in the denominator. So as the share rate ramps up, the Icosa amount ramps down.
Yep, exactly. And like a double, it's like twice exponential, because as the T-share rate goes up, in the numerator, it gets harder to get B shares, and in the denominator, it gets wider. So it's like the numerator is going down exponentially for new stakes, and the denominator is going up exponentially for everybody.
Oh, damn.
I've got a question for you, Sloth, at the moment. So at the moment, you could purchase Icosa off the market, and you could basically, so let's say at the moment, quadruple 7, so 777, like for a 5555 stake, will get you 1 T-share roughly, off the top of my head.
Yeah.
You can purchase the same amount of Icosa off the market for that unstaked same amount of hex. Does that make sense? So for someone that's a small fish that doesn't have so much money to pay for all the gas fees, would there still be advantage for them to still do the HSI and sell the HSI for Icosa, or would they be better off saving on gas and just swapping the liquid for Icosa?
Yeah, you'd have to just calculate that out. Yeah, you have to calculate that out yourself. So there is a Quattro Cinco bonus in that you get 10% more Icosa if you sell it to the contract. So if the Icosa you get plus that extra bonus is more than what you pay for the hex plus the gas fee, then it is worth it. If not, it's better just to buy it off the market. And what's cool is if that ends up being the case for enough people, because Ethereum gas fees are fairly prohibitive, it could potentially put it above that equilibrium point, which would trigger other people to stake hex, mint the Icosa, and then sell that price down to be able to immediately take advantage of that price differential. And that's what Wales is talking about, in that it's a stable coin. Both above and below that equilibrium point, there's incentive to bring it back.
Okay, yeah. So by people doing that without the stakes, the price would go up. And then there's incentive to do the stakes to bring the price back down and level it out. So basically, in a nutshell, in layman's terms.
That's exactly it.
For us numpties.
No, man. I wouldn't say that. But yeah, basically, if the price is below it in any way, shape, or form, like it's more economically efficient to just buy it off the market if you want to inflate your position in the Icosa staking pool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a interesting way to add more game theory to allow people that missed the initial opportunity in Hex to acquire and secure a seat on this train, right, early on. And I think it's important that people realize that, because Hedron is tied to Hex. And everything that is being done to Hedron really only soups it up. Like, we're talking about going from a Honda Civic Si to an Aston Martin. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is
pretty crazy.
Yeah, everything we just talked about, with that ARB point, and whenever you sell that HSI or whenever somebody takes advantage of like being able to immediately profit through arbitration, it ends up with HSIs on the liquidation market, which then burns Hedron later on down the line.
And eliminates Hex from circulation as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So like let's take day one of Icosa, for example. About 14,000 T shares were put up on the liquidation auction, right? And so that's 14,000 T shares that are going to be bid on with liquid Hedron. And so now we had I think like almost at least I think $10 million or like 8 trillion Hedron locked up in the smart contract for staking. And then now in 90 days, I calculated it out. It's about, if it's 1,400 T shares, it's about 77 billion Hedron base rate just for the minimum bid that's going to be burned. Now, if we look at like the differential between where the price of Hedron is now versus its fair value in terms of how much money you have to put in to a Hex stake to extract Hedron, it's at least a good 30x away from it, which means the price is lower by 30x. So it takes 30x more Hedron burned to get the same dollar value you need to put in to buy Hex and make the stake to get that stake off the liquidation market. And so naturally, because people want a good deal, or people will at least pay potentially 95% less than what those stakes would cost them to buy Hex off the market, right? We may get like 10 to 30x more Hedron burned than that 77 billion. So that's upwards of 1 trillion Hedron burned, which is a lot,
Of course, man. I'm just over here laughing my ass off. Like, you're just spitting out billions and trillions. Like,
Let me
try and keep up with you.
Let me get through this thought, because it doesn't end there, right? So you have upwards of 1 trillion Hedron being burned. And what that does is see the next day's pool of Icosa, Hedron, and the WhatsApp pool with more Icosa. Because the calculation for that is the previous day's burnt Hedron divided by the T-share rate. And so now you just basically incentivize people to lock up for a huge payday. As people see all this Hedron burn, they know the next day at 000 UTC, a huge payout's going to happen. So that could potentially trigger people buying it off the market, or just locking up more Hex and throwing it down the line. Right. So this positive feedback loop starts to happen where incentives align to continually do the next thing that would allow you to capture the value that the previous people who extracted value creates.
You guys catch that?
Sorry,
it's a rubber band. It's a rubber band pulling on a rubber band, pulling on a rubber band, pulling on a rubber band, and it's never not going to be any snapback.
Exactly. And like Wales, like just Hex on its own is a positive feedback loop, right? Like,
I know.
Right?
I was going through the charts and explaining it to everybody, like how the positive feedback loop works. And this is why I'm like, we're talking, this is just Hex. You just broke down what's happening with Hedron. And now people got to understand, Hedron is like nested into Hex. So whatever Hedron does, Hex is going to get dragged along with it.
And not just that, but when Hex goes up, it pushes Hedron with it. So Hedron necessarily pulls Hex, but as Hex goes up, Hex is the floor of this entire system. So the whole floor goes up at the same time. It's like a push and pull.
Yeah, it's literally a foundation.
Yo, when I was first seeing all these derivatives pop up, I was thinking it's the new standard, the Hex standard. You know how there's that book, the Bitcoin standard? Nah, man, it's the Hex standard.
Well, this really goes to speak to. Oh, sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you.
No. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So this goes to speak with something that Wales talks about a lot, and that's like, Hex is the only true crypto. Well, kind of not anymore. We got these other derivative products that are built with the same ethos as Hex, and then obviously because of how like strong and how like foundationally sturdy Hex is, like we're able to continue to iterate on top of that and create things that are even greater than Hex, but only because Hex is as strong as it is and as powerful as it is.
Correct. It's so important, right? Because if we didn't have that strong foundation, we wouldn't be able to say, hey, Alex, here's this thing, build on it and build it good, because he could have probably done the same quality level job, but the outcome might not have been the same because what he built on was like Bitcoin, for example. See what I'm saying? So
or let's do something that's kind of analogous, like Luna. Like that's an algorithmic stablecoin, right? Like, but you build on something that like has, foundationally is flawed. Like it doesn't matter how cool your game theory is, like you're gonna fail.
Right. So this is why I like, and I don't fully understand Icosa, but from what it sounds like, the market is being used to price it. Period. It doesn't come. It doesn't come because people said it does. There's always going to be this tug and pull back and forth, which is great. And I kind of wish I didn't know that, because now I'm going to have to really learn this stuff. Because, well, I'm thinking about that chart that don't exist yet, but there's a chart for that.
Wait, what chart are you talking about?
It don't exist yet. I haven't
just stuff that like just basically like what relation can I visually represent is what he's saying.
Right.
Like when you like make a connection, you can just basically plot that on an X and Y axis, and then you get the relationship between those two items.
Yeah.
And that's
what items are you comparing? That's what I guess that's one of the questions.
That's the point. We don't know yet.
Right. We don't know yet. So look, in this instance, what we're looking at is the numerator and the denominator that Alex was talking about earlier, and how the price of Icosa reacts to that change over time. Because that's ultimately what's going to determine the quote-unquote arbitrage opportunity. But is it not really an arbitrage opportunity? It's really the market saying, okay, it's a better entry here versus there. But it's always going to rectify itself. I mean, what happens if we get to a point where the tech gets so advanced that now we have bots trading this ARB? Because I'm going to tell you, as of today, that can't be done.
Now that'd be incredible if it does, because what's the baseline action to take advantage of these capital inefficiencies?
Right.
It's staking Hex 5555.
Yep.
Like you have to do that to take advantage of any of this stuff.
Oh, and you weren't around, Alex, but I think when you showed up, I was just finishing up on what the floor would be. And after I talk about this, I want you to see if you can answer this question here on the screen.
Wait, you talking to me?
Yeah, you. I'm sorry.
I'm not.
I'm sorry, brother. Fuck, man. I'm sorry.
I wasn't. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, Slav. The guys on the mic. We're talking about this product.
I'm not that.
Yeah, not all good. All good. No worries. So earlier, I was highlighting how we basically only have 180 million hex or billion hex that could be staked, sold, bought, whatever. So I did the math, and what that equated to was a floor of, what was it? 31%. 31%. So that would mean that the rate floor, if we were to go full capacity as it stands now, today, that would mean the 12% floor for Hex. That's the worst yield. Exactly.
That is not too bad, man. 12%. I'll take that.
Yo, imagine.
Well, 12% pure passive income, like without like having to worry about a thing. Like it's
annually.
not just the 12%. Yeah.
Annually. And that's just in crypto. I'm over here joking. This is just in crypto.
Yes,
right?
Sir.
What happens when there's some other denominator that or some other metric that we can use to compound this against?
Yep.
Like, I really wish people would sit down and do this basic math and realize yield in crypto is significantly greater than yield in fiat. And this is why, Icosa, Hedron, all these things that we now have going on in the ecosystem is so important, right? Because it's giving us all opportunity to earn more income. It's giving us all opportunity to take care of our future retirement. It's giving us all opportunity to take care of our future, right? Not just ours, but also our family's future, because we're doing real crypto. And until the world ends, that shit ain't going nowhere. I'm sorry. Like, the genie's out of the bottle. You can't put it back in. You see all the things that they're doing that will never work to try to stop us from winning. I mean, the tornado, if the tornado cash ban didn't teach you something, then I hope you start learning, because that day it showed clearly who understands cryptocurrency, who understands the limits of what these fools can and cannot do, and the power that we, the people, us human beings, us men and women, actually have. We control this motherfucker now, and they just haven't figured it out yet, to the extent that they're still trying. Well, I say they haven't figured it out yet because they're still trying to impose their craziness, which is just not going to work. Like, it's just not going to work. Like, it's just not going to work, right? So you got to add all of these things up. And this is what paints the pretty future that I see. Because as crazy as things are now and as crazy as they're going to get, you got to keep in mind that there's always, night before morning. Right? We got to remember that. And at this point in time, a lot of generations have failed. So we got to suffer the brunt of the weight of fixing what's messed up. It's on us, whether we want it to be or not, because it's either we fix it or we become subservient to a degree that is not humane, because that's where we're at now. As crazy as it sounds, I didn't think I would live through it. I thought maybe my kids or my grandkids, not me. But here we are. Like, 2030 is 2022. And there's not going to be an 8-year delay. They're trying to starve people now. They're trying to get people to stop growing food now. They're trying to get people to lose their jobs now. They're trying to make people financially broke, right? This is why I was going over all this interest rate stuff earlier, to try to help people understand where we're at in this landscape. Because all these things, they paint that big picture of why crypto, and I say it all the time. And the problem is that, that's just one level. And you got to understand all these crazy things that don't make no sense, because they're not supposed to. Because you're just supposed to earn your little dollars and be okay and be happy and smile. and that's it, or your pounds or your Australian dollars or your yen or wherever you're at, right? Like, that's all you're supposed to do. But that's the hook, man. That's where they get you. That's where they screw you. And that's why this question is important. All these crypto questions are important. Like, we got a whole thing now that we all got to learn and study to extract value from it, because now is our time to take advantage of opportunity, right? Like, when you're in crypto, there's no such thing as a bear market. It's an opportunity market. And it's important that people understand that, because this doesn't stop. That's how Bitcoin went from 0 to 69,000. What do you think Hex and Hedron are going to do? They're better. Period. They actually do something.
Infinitely better. Jesus.
Infinitely better. Yes. Yeah. And I mean, I haven't even talked like this in so long, but it's like, yo, do not forget. Because everybody's getting, sidetracked with these shiny objects. Like, yo, you better keep your military mind on and stay on that mission until it's completed. Because I don't see any other Richard Hearts around here. I know I'm not. So a lot of you
Alex
guys
is pretty close.
Huh? Alex is pretty close.
Yeah, I think Alex is pretty close, man.
About as close as you can get.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying, right?
Yeah.
But Crypto Sloth, sir, if you could answer that question.
You got it. 420 Hex. Let's see. What's an NFT? Don't care to see it in MetaMask, see it on Icosa app. Do I leave it or do I transfer it or wait until I'm ready to get out? Okay, yeah. So this is good just to talk about the We Are All the SA NFT, that pool. Because it's the only really time sensitive thing in the whole system. So what it is it's a separate pool that yields Icosa, and the way you get into it is by essentially an adoption amplifier type system where you send funds and then it'll mint you an NFT, and those NFTs will have a certain number of points attached to them. And just like with the Hedron and Icosa pools, the yield will be equally distributed to each of the points, and your position just is determined by how many points you have. Very similar to the share system. Right. But the thing about this pool is that after 14 days, it closes. So with the Icosa and Hedron pool, you can add new capital to your stakes at any point, which will dilute people who don't add to their principals over time. With these NFTs, that is impossible. Once the 14 days is over, your ability to get diluted in the system only comes from you losing those NFTs, but never will ever come from somebody coming into the pool. Now, there is a catch to that. And that is, in order to redeem that yield with that the stake has accumulated, your NFT, you have to burn it, forfeiting your yield going on into the future. So not only can you not get deflated, but you will get inflated as people want to cash out and get their Icosa liquid to sell. And so how that relates to this question is like, you got to plan it out for yourself. Do you want to be able to cash in this over time, or do you want to be able to maintain your non-diluted share of this pool for longer? The way I like to describe it, it's like the yield and the what's a pool is like the Schrodinger's cat of yield. You both have it and you don't at the same time, right? Because if you get it, then you lose it. But if you don't have it, but if you keep earning it, you don't have it in a kind of a way. Yeah. And so
that's funny. I saw your tweet last night, Sloth, and I actually responded to it, but my phone was freaking out, and it didn't go through. But this is what I wrote. Mm-hmm. This is why I made a Watts ladder, fat to skinny. Fat ones get to the chopping block first if push comes to shove. Skinny ones go last since they'll be earning longer. I'll definitely leave one or two as a family heirloom.
You can do like a 15-year Watts lockup or whatever.
It's forever locked up.
You could do like 15 different NFTs on the same wallet. So
so there's no time on it. It's just as you decide to redeem it, you burn it.
So what I would do is I would make different size NFTs because each NFT has a different amount of, like, let's say you have a big fat stake and skinny stakes. You always throw out the skinny ones further out in time.
Yeah, because they're gonna earn more over time. They're gonna
the NFTs you don't. Yeah, the NFTs you don't lock them for amount of time, but I would just obviously, if I needed to for whatever reason, get rid of one, I would get rid of the fatter one, that had more principal to begin with, and then I would leave the smaller ones to earn longer for last if I ever want to sell them. But I got a series of them, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, this is the perfect place for a moon bag, where it's just like, I'm just letting this sit for as long as possible because it'll just stay forever, because it'll just sit there forever accumulating yield. Yeah. And the angle I like to approach this as is that, like, kind of now like how HSIs, has, well, specifically with Hedron, but in general, HSIs have made hex states easier to become a supreme form of collateral. I like to interpret these NFTs as like a supreme form of collateral, because guaranteed the next day there's going to be more yield than the previous day, and that it's never going to be diluted. So like your yield is fixed relative to everybody else in the pool, and that yield is always liquid. Like not only is it liquid in the sense that it's an NFT and you can sell it on OpenSea, but there are limitations to that, because you need a 1-for-1 buyer and seller to like make that transaction go through. Because you can always redeem these NFTs for the underlying Icosa, which is an ERC20, and then confers the liquidity that comes with an ERC20. And this can be redeemed on the flip of a hat. Like there's nothing stopping you outside paying a gas fee. So these are extremely liquid, decentralized form of passive income that exists on the blockchain, is essentially, and that's like as best of loan collateral as I could think of.
What do you think of a premium though? Because they're always earning. It seems like a waste to me to burn it. I would rather just sell it on the secondary market because there's going to be people licking their chops for these things or willing to pay a hefty premium who would be willing to wait 3 to 5 years before they break even. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're absolutely right because why would you ever accept a dollar value or whatever unit of account you want to use less than what's inherent to the stake? Because the Icosa is always liquid, right? Like it doesn't make sense. Like Hex, you could sell an HSI on like X2Y2 or something for less than the dollar value because you don't get to redeem the underlying value until the stake is up. But with this, you can always redeem it at any point in time. So it would make no sense for this thing to go on the open market for anything less than a premium. And if it did, like you better just scoop it up because you just got a hell of a deal. And someone just doesn't know what they're doing, and like you can take advantage of that.
100%. That's exactly right.
So long story short, I just get some like just even $10, like just $10, like who cares? Like
something. But people that are going to stake, just remember, once you stake and create a WhatsApp, your principal is gone. You never get your principal back on this. That's the difference as well.
Very important point. Wells, you got any specific questions that's been going on in your mind for this system?
Nah, I mean, I like everything. Now that I'm understanding the WhatsApp, I like it even better. I don't really see any. I'm trying to find like negatives. That's what I always look for when I'm trying to understand a system. But as I think about this system, right? Like you hear NFT, that's always going to be a derogatory term. I don't care where you're at, right?
It needs a new term, man. Like a DeFi NFT. This is different, man.
Yeah, well, Go ahead.
Sorry, I was listening to a previous stream with it was you. I think RG3 jumped on with RH Max and Proof of Beard and Blue Bum was on there.
Yep.
He was asking like, what is? I think he was being devil's advocate. I know he loves the system, but he was like, what is the point of Icosa? I didn't quite catch his question, but I guess he was asking what is the intrinsic value of it. I mean, I know it's tied to HSIs and there's a formula. You know what I'm saying? But and I think you described it as it's just another staking token like Hex, right?
Yep. So what's the point? Like why even have this token Icosa?
I think.
Yeah, I think that's what his question was.
Yeah. Go ahead, Wells, and then I can answer it.
No worries. Well, it's interesting now after hearing you talking about it for so long. I think about it as almost the bonding element for Hedron and WhatsApp and everything Icosa itself, right? Like it's like that. It's like the T-shirt rate almost.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's accurate, but that's kind of how I think about it.
If it's not completely accurate, it's at least getting at the point, man.
Right.
I see Hedron as a tokenized T share, right, or a B share, whatever it is.
Yeah. It's a ERC20 derivative of a representation of a B share, essentially, is what it is. I don't think it's necessarily a derivative, but it's like an abstraction. I don't know if those are the exact same.
It's
you can get. I don't know the technical like.
This is a good thing. So let's hold on before you even continue because this is actually pretty important. And the reason I say it's important is because the value of a thing is predicated on what that thing is, right? So if it's not a derivative, which you're kind of right on, because it's kind of not, because it's kind of its own thing, but it only exists because of that other thing. But now this thing does its own thing. So now it's this whole new thing. It wasn't the thing that it was before. So now
you're talking about Hedron, right?
I have a word for you. I've been thinking about this, and I think you could appreciate this, Wales. I like to describe the relationship between Hex and Hedron as a chiral relationship. Do you know what that term means?
A what?
Chiral. 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 So chirality. Yeah. CHIRAL.
It's like a hybrid. Like a chira, like an animal hybrid? Is that a chira?
So this is a specific scientific and biochemical term to describe the relationship between molecules. And the technical
Go ahead.
The technical definition is these are two objects that are the mirror images of each other, but non-superimposable. So like if you hold your hands up, if you hold up your hands to each other and then you put them over each other, that's exactly what it is. Like they're mirror images of each other, but they don't exactly overlap. So in a way, they're like equal and opposite. That's exactly it. Now, let me describe the power of this concept within biochemistry. So you can have the exact same molecule with the exact same chemical formula and the exact same like bond structure, but their anatomical or geometric shape is different in that they're chiral or they're non-superimposable of each other. Now, the difference between, like, say, a left-handed or right-handed protein can literally be the difference between life or death. The way in which your body processes this simple geometrical difference literally changes the characteristics by which that molecule acts. And so we see this exact same property with different qualities of Hex and Hedron. And the most easiest way to see that is through the distribution model of the system. And so the way in which it works is like Hex continuously inflates over time as the number of coins increases, even though the T-share rate gets exponentially more difficult to obtain. So it's like this hockey stick exponential curve going up for the total supply of Hex. Now, the mintability of Hedron is kind of the exact opposite in that as the T-share rate goes up, it becomes exponentially more difficult to obtain Hedron over time. And so if you plotted these curves, I don't have it on anything to show right now, but if you plotted these two curves, you could see that they're non-superimposable mirror images of each other. And as you understand the system and start to unwrap the different onion peels, you'll see they're like equal and opposites to each other in every way. And I think chirality, like a chiral relationship between Hex and Hedron, I think is the most accurate description I have found, I've come up with to describe the two systems. Yeah.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
I've never heard that word before. College isn't completely useless, right?
so this is what you're describing Hedron as, right?
Yeah.
It's like
the relationship between Hex
I think
and
I heard
Hedron,
you describe it as like the shadow of a Hex.
Shadow of Hex is
obviously you have the figure, and anyway, whatever. So if it's not a derivative, it's its own thing. I think Wales was saying something about it was one thing and now it's another. And I wanted to ask what he meant by that. It morphed as soon as Icosa launched, the utility morphed. The utility shifted.
Correct.
So what was before? What was it before, and what is it now? If I may ask.
So before it was just a credit line and a loan facility. That's it.
Okay.
Now you can actually earn income from it, so it becomes a money printer.
But before it was also deflationary as well. It's just that the flywheel hadn't kicked off yet because it's going to take a while because right now it's still in the inflationary phase.
Correct.
And then as the T-share rate ramps up, as Sloth was saying, it's going to get more and more rare. So it was still always going to be deflationary, and I guess it was always chiral to Hex. Or at least, or the share rate, not necessarily Hex, right?
Yeah.
The chirality is Sloth is to the share rate, not to Hex. Is that right?
Between Hedron and Hex.
Between Hedron and Hex, yeah.
What am I saying? Share rate Sorry, I was saying
information overload, bro. I feel
I was saying share rate and Hex. I mean Hedron and Hex, or Hedron and share rate.
Hedron and Hex.
Chirality. Hedron and Hex. Because Hedron comes from the Hex that you're minting from being staked. Otherwise, it doesn't exist, you see?
Yep.
So this is kind of the thing. Like, people mistreat Hedron because they don't understand it. They think it's this thing that's superfluous, there's billions and trillions of it.
Oh, man, there's 6 zeros in front of it. It can't be valuable.
Yeah, exactly. And there is, right? There's a lot of it. Sure, all of us got it, blah, blah, blah. But you're not thinking. Just like people weren't thinking about T-shares, people aren't thinking about Hedron. And this was before Icosa.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so let me with all of that kind of in mind, let me get to the question, like, what was the point of Icosa? And you definitely hinted at it a second ago with like talking about like thresholds within Hedron existing independently. So one of the main criticisms of Hedron was essentially the price of the coin didn't sufficiently incentivize people to take advances. Now, what that means is that if people aren't taking advances, HSIs can't get on the liquidation market. And if HSIs can't get on the liquidation market, Hedron's not getting burned. Now, that burning mechanism through liquidations of HSIs was the primary pumpamental to get the Hedron price up. So if we don't have the burning, the Hedron price doesn't go up. Hedron price doesn't go up. People don't take advances. And it's a circular loop that never gets broken until some threshold is reached with the Hedron price. And then you can put that within the context that because T-shares are unequally distributed amongst players in the system, there's a small centralized supply of people who have all the Hedron, Price isn't going up, so it's just a forever dump token. Now, if you look at the dynamics of how the market played out in those first couple months of Hedron, the coins were being distributed amongst a larger set of people who had, like, I guess you could say, more diamond hands. So like whales and sharks were dumping, and then people were eating that up. And the reason we know that is because whales and sharks cannot rebuy the position they bought on those first couple days after they dumped. And so naturally, the system over time would have allowed for a distribution of coins that would have facilitated price going up in a way that would be sufficient to cause that positive feedback loop of advances being taken and Hedron being burned to take place. However, just as Wells was saying before, Icosa offers another avenue for Hedron, for HSIs to get put on the liquidation market, which is that kind of like jet fuel on the fire that was already kind of burning, which is Hedron. And so what the Icosa does is essentially it's the incentive to give your HSI to the contract. And then the incentive for that token, like why you would want that token, is just decentralized yield. It's the same value proposition as HEX. Like you have the ability to earn, to compound your capital in a way in which you don't have to ask permission and or be worried somebody is going to take it away from you. And then as on top of that, it's all of the ways in which that yield is earned is tied to the T-share. So in the same way, HEX yield is valuable because it gets exponentially more difficult to obtain. Icosa Hedron yield also becomes more difficult because the T-share gets exponentially more difficult to access.
So they're all bonded. They're all bonded or tied together by the T-share. That's what they all share in common, right?
Yes.
Icosa, Hedron, and Hex. They're all sort of living from the life force of the T-share.
Yeah. If maybe this might be a good. I just thought of this, and this might be a good way of saying it. So if Hex and Hedron are chiral to each other and they're mirror images of each other, Icosa is that mirror.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love it. I love it.
Boom.
Yeah.
And
that's what I was thinking this whole time.
But where does that leave the T-share? We can't forget about the almighty T-share.
The T-share is the connecting thing. It's that thing that the
connecting
that's
tissue,
connecting all
atoms.
You could just say the T-share is matter.
Yeah.
Like the T-share is just the base reality of that all of this stuff exists in, and then these things are just combinations of that same base reality and are configured in a way that makes them behave or manifest differently, even though fundamentally they're the same thing. This would have been some good stuff for that radio stream, Wales. I feel like we're crossing into some interesting territory now.
Yeah, we are. I was like, hold on, what's happening?
Where are we going with this?
Yeah, man. Shout out to Alex. He really
How the hell did he even come up with this stuff, man? This is amazing.
It makes sense when you think about it. You know, when you think about what Alex was thinking, at least this is just my guess, he's probably thinking, how the hell can I get this thing to disappear Hedron, but pay motherfuckers at the same time?
Yep.
The only way to make that happen was by creating Icosa. It's the only way. So it makes perfect sense when you think about it. Because it's like, well, what other way? And it's easy to say that now, of course, but what other way could he have gone? Looking back at it, right? It's almost like you had to create something. I don't know. What do you think, Slav?
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. So I have actually a stream with Alex that came out a couple of days before the launch of Icosa. And he kind of went through the whole process of the genesis of Hedron. And essentially it just all started with like, essentially it just he just wanted to create like a tokenized representation of the B share. Like that's where it all started. He's like, it would just be cool to be able to actually trade shares. And then kind of everything just funneled out and derived from that initial thought. So it's like, oh, if we have this, well, we can do this. Oh, well, we have this, well, we can make tradable stakes. And then like everything just kind of fell. Like it was like a logical deduction from there. It was like the system kind of revealed it. Here's the way I like to describe it. The system was kind of revealing itself to Alex over time. And he was like solving the problems that were presented to it by like, how can I create value from the system if I want to create a tokenized B share?
Yeah.
I think he mentioned he was considering just tokenizing stakes, and he wanted to create a market to trade stakes, but it was really hard for that to happen because stakes are non-fungible. Every stake is different. So then he had to come up with an alternative, which is what Hedron became, right?
Yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah. That's crazy. And I like what you said, that the system was revealing itself or luring Alex to it for him to create it. You know what I'm saying? Like some people say, some writers say that you know, there's this other force guiding their pen. It's not really them writing. So maybe that's what Alex typed into, you know?
You find that to be like, so like my background is pretty like scientific, and like I have a very strong.
Teaching us new words and shit.
Right, exactly. That I don't even know.
Chemistry, isn't it? Yeah, it's a chemistry.
Yeah. I learned that in orgochem trying to get into dental school. I guess.
I've heard about that one.
Yeah, I guess. College was a little more useful to me than others, but Anyways, what was I going with that? But yeah, so like I'm really interested in science, but also the epistemology behind science, and that's just the word like how do we know, the study of like how we know things. Yeah. And so what you'll find is kind of like when you like study the history of major scientific discoveries and the thought process behind the people who were trying to uncover them, you'll see a very similar like ethos or a very similar like narrative behind it, where they're like chasing this thing that like seems to exist, that they're like slowly peeling an onion back to like something that already exists. Something that are like reality, and it's not like a thing that you like come up with all on your own. It's like this iterative process that you continue to search for and strive for, and then eventually it reveals itself to you.
I think Michelangelo or Leonardo da Vinci, one of these carvers, said that about their statues. That it was like a big slab of marble, but it was really something inside that he just needed to reveal. It's not like he was creating it; he was just eliminating what worked and what didn't, and he created these pieces.
Yep, that's it. And so I was I had the fortune of going to Italy and seeing a lot of those kind of sculptures, and like they had some.
They're like lifelike, right? I haven't seen them, but like you can see their veins.
Yeah. But like for the like halfway done ones, it literally looked like if you continued to chisel, this thing was just like inside of it. It was really cool.
Yeah,
man, it's crazy.
Yeah, this guy Kraus, he's like, tell him to talk more about biochemistry. He's like, dude, you don't want me to be talking about like pKa, pH, all that stuff. I'll bore the hell out of you.
Yeah, I don't know anything about any of that.
Oh, he's asking who you are. If you don't know who Crypto Sloth is,
now you do.
Go and follow him.
Now you do.
Now you do.
Now you do.
Yeah, man. I got my name talking about Icosa Hedron, which I'm just lucky that I have a system to dive deep into, you know.
Yeah, I kind of fucked this up for everybody. I didn't leave nothing there. Tore it apart.
You're not wrong, man. Like the problem of the hex has been like pretty much solved for the most part. Like there are nuances and like relationships that like help you understand it more that are still out there, but really not enough to like start a whole YouTube channel on. Yeah. And then like once Hedron started and like understood, I'm like, okay, here's like my entry to like if I want to like start building a social presence, and I just kind of went from there.
Yeah, it's good.
Man. Your videos are
smart, man.
Whole lot going on over here. So good job, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Really
well.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Oh, my pleasure, man. My pleasure.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm gonna hop off. I gotta get some dinner.
No worries. I'm about to wrap it up. It's been 3.5.
Yeah, it's been gone for a while.
Yeah, I jumped in late. I'm sorry I missed the first part.
No worries, man. No worries.
But it was a pleasure. Sloth, it was a pleasure kicking it with you and shooting the shit.
Yeah. And hey, if you ever guys have questions, my DMs are always open. I'm happy to talk about this with anybody. If you ever got questions, stuff, so just let me know.
Cool. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining me on the stream. And chat, thank you for sitting this one out. We still have 160 people somehow. Appreciate y'all. Hope y'all learned something besides chirality. Just saying.
This will be the chiral stream.
Right. Add that to the name. That's just crazy. What is going on?
Chirality.
But hey, everybody have a good night. Good rest of your day. Good morning. And we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Cool. All right.
Right. The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. That's it. That's the secret. The God well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. Shit, motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. Man, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all's deep. Everybody. My God.
conversation.